Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Wild Wild West. Nope, this is not Will Smith, and we're not getting jiggy with it. This is Western Australia, and it's the fifth round of the 2021 ASR Supercars Championship, proudly brought to you by Smith & Sons Renovations and Extensions. On top of it being round 5, it is also the halfway point in the season. My God, how quickly have the first 4 rounds of the year gone? We are chalking them off the whiteboard very, very quickly indeed. And not only is it the halfway point, it is the closest point standings that we've had all year long. And not only that, all-time supercars close for points at this stage of the year. This time last year, it was a 200-point gap between first and second place. Coming into tonight, it is just 9. You heard me right. 9 points is all that separates the top 2. We're doing this as a bit of a socially distanced show tonight. My name is Steve DeVries, and usually alongside me is Hans Brunswick, but he is here. He's just in another part of the state at the moment. Good evening, Hans.
Good evening, Steve. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, great to be back, but obviously it would be nicer to be at your place. But anyway, this is the next best thing, and obviously Wanneroo Park, very, very good race circuit, fantastic. A lot of slow corners for the first half of the lap, and then the coming out of cold corner, the big dip at turn 6, and then right up the hill, then down the hill into turn 7. A fantastic roller coaster ride here at Wanneroo Park. Funnily enough, closer to Neeraba in Western Australia than it is to Wanneroo itself, but you will find it down Wanneroo Road. But those of us who are in Perth will know. I'm not in Perth, but my dad's from Perth, so there you go.
Yep, couple of the locals here tonight as well, trying to get themselves onto the podium. So Pete Savage and Kurt Stenberg, the local sand gropers, as they call them in Western Australia. I don't know why they're called sand gropers. I'm assuming it's got something to do with the amount of coastline that they have in Western Australia, that they're close to the beach. But they can hopefully do themselves proud by getting themselves onto the podium. This is a little bit of a bogey track for Kurt Stenberg. 2 second places here last year, and he'd definitely like to go one better this year, Hans.
Yeah, definitely. Probably should have got a race win last year for sure, and definitely 2 race wins went begging there, but a pretty good performance from, I believe it was Will Devonish and Brent Foley that won those races. So they did a good job to capitalise on Stenberg's mistakes. But Stenberg, being a local, obviously wants to do well at Wanneroo Park. However, hasn't been that good to him in the past. But nonetheless, he will have a real hot crack tonight and try and get his, I'm not sure if it's his first win. But anyway, we'll go with it. First win here at Wanneroo Park.
Yeah, first win in ASR, I think, would be at Barbagallo would be key for him. And he's going to have got a fair challenge at the moment. We're looking at some of the practice times, and there's a lot of drivers in the top 10 at the moment that I wouldn't actually expect to be up there that are really putting on a good show at the moment. So people like some of the new Kiwis, Cheese and Freakish, both fairly new to supercars, they're inside the top 10 at the moment. Darren Kemp, who's wildcarding inside the top 10. Kiwis, at least 4 Kiwis inside the top 10 at the moment, and Will Devonish and Kurt Stenberg basically joined at the hip by nearly a tenth of a second. So there's a little bit of interesting developments to play out in qualifying, which is coming up in about 5 minutes' time. But that does give us an opportunity to have a look at this fantastic track. And as you can see here from the track overview, we're all the way on the other side of the country. Here we go. We're honing in on the city of Perth, and then up true north, as Hans just alluded to Neerabup, and we zoom right in, and there it is, this little 2.411 kilometre 7-turn bull ring. Same circuit distance and same number of corners as Tasmania, but there is a couple of seconds difference in the lap time due to the slower nature of some of the corners. And Hans, it has seen plenty of action, not just in ASR, but in real life as well.
Yeah, fantastic circuit, but used to be very hard on tyres. Will be hard on tyres tonight, but in real life had a very, very abrasive coarse mix of aggregate and not much binder to bind the stones together. That was obviously quite hectic for the cars for a good part of the last century. However, in early 2004, I believe they resurfaced the circuit. Every car broke the lap record. Jason Bright ended up with a real-life lap record then, and got resurfaced again in 2019. However, different aggregate mix that they have used from now on, so not quite as hard on the tyres in real life, but they will be struggling tonight with tyres because the left rear especially takes a pounding around here, Steve.
Yeah, it does. The left rear, and from Super 2 the other night, the left front as well. The Super 2 guys were just struggling to make it on a single race stint at 21 lap distance. There were plenty of guys that were leaning quite heavily on that front left tyre. You can see here, turn 1 especially, and at the bowl, as you rightly pointed out, at turn 6, you tend to use up a fair bit of the tyre if you don't get the turn in right, and you try and put a little bit too much steering lock on. There's even been some talk about some drivers trying to V the corner off. One of your favourite terminologies, Hans, Ving the corner, and trying to take out as much of the long loaded part of the corner as possible. And try and preserve that longevity a little bit, because you've got to get to, lap 21, 22 to try and make the one-stop strategy work, and if you don't, you're going to be struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. And surrounded by slippery sand as well, Barbagallo. So if you go offline, it is not going to be a very good time for you. So best to keep it on the black stuff here at Barbagallo, Wanneroo Park.
Absolutely. Plenty of sand traps to catch out. And hopefully, we pray, Brad Jones is not here today, but hopefully no rollovers. I think that's the one thing we're looking forward to. So that was a very, very quick, brief tour of Barbagallo Wanneroo Raceway. And while we are still waiting for the qualifying session to get underway, good opportunity as well to have a look at the point standings coming into tonight. So driver standings after 4 rounds and 8 races completed. We did say a few moments ago, it is 9 points at the top of the championship, and there is the proof. 996 to Kurt Stenberg. Luke Rosella, 987. It was actually 6 points going into the last round we had at Queensland Raceway, but only diminished very, very briefly in race 1, and then sort of just went back up again in race 2. So the net margin as a 3-point gain for Luke Rosella in that one. Tim Redmond has leapfrogged Will Devonish into position number 3 and is looking very, very handy at the moment at the top of the timesheets, or near the top of the timesheets in practice. And, well, what can we say about Will Devonish, Hans? Very, very poor Queensland round, and has been gazumped into 4th spot and not that far ahead of his teammate there, Pete Savage.
Yeah, and he's lucky as well to have his teammate Curtis Igmanis Turmo up there as well to add some sort of buffer there. But pretty exciting top 10 in the championship so far. 4 out of 10 rounds completed. We've got some new faces in there, like you said, Tim Redmond. We've also got Kane Gray, otherwise known as NZ Snipes, up there for Kiwi Sim Sports development team. That's pretty exciting, up there in 8th, and being ahead of a former champion in Brenton Foley. That's nothing to be sneezed at. And nipping at the heels as well, Scott Stancliffe in the main Kiwi Sim Sports car, the second of the Kiwi Sim Sports car. So the Kiwis quite well represented there, and not to mention a lot of the Super 2 graduates as well.
Yeah, you're not wrong. 3 Kiwis in the top 10, nothing to be frowned upon by those guys. They've all been working very, very hard together. And Scott Stancliffe, especially notable mention that he's inside the top 10, because remember, he missed race 8, which was the second race of the last round at Queensland Raceway with a family emergency. So if he was actually able to make that race, I'd say he'd probably be another step further up. He might even be in front of Brenton Foley on points as well. So that's a notable concern that he missed that one race and is still inside the top 10. But the big logjam in the middle there, Will Devonish, Pete Savage and Tim Redmond, they're the ones to keep an eye out for. Also, Curtis Igmanis, or Turmo, as he's affectionately known, Steve Burko, and then NZ Snipes there in 8th. That's a nice little interesting battle pack we're looking forward to keeping an eye on tonight as well. You can see over there that the poles shared 3 poles apiece between Peter Savage and Will Devonish. That's just the pole award overall. There have also been 2 poles that have gone to Kurt Stenberg. And then Stenberg has set 4 of the 8 fastest laps throughout the season, and he's got the stranglehold there. Over to the team's points we go. Very much a similar story on the pole awards. The CRE, of course, have got the 6 poles between them, and 5 wins out of the 8 races so far to Trans-Tasman Racing via Kurt Stenberg. And even though they've had their challenges, CRE Race Engineering still on top of the team's points, but they have had that margin reduced a little bit by Synergy Sim Racing in 2nd place. And then the Kiwis, with a great result at the last round in Queensland Raceway, have jumped over the top of the loose Sim Sport Fords of Steve Burko and Lewis Wedding into 3rd place. And again, all three of the Kiwi SimSport teams represented inside the top 10. This is probably the top 10 that will probably stay inside the top 10 throughout most of the season. The rest of the teams that are outside the top 10 are the privateer entries, the single car teams. There's also the team that belongs to the Colin and Steve Warwick, the Blackshaw Smash Repairs team, but Colin unfortunately unable to make a couple of the rounds, so that's hampering their team's points just a little bit. But as it stands right now, these are the top 10 teams we'll probably expect to see on this graphic throughout the rest of the season. Just their positioning, Hans, will be the determining factor.
We know they'll be there by the end of the season, but in what order we don't yet know. But I really rate the name in terms of teams being number one. In terms of rankings, I would say in terms of team names, Kiwi SimSports underdeveloped team is probably up there. Probably my pick for the number one in terms of team names so far this season.
Yeah, I think you're right there. That's a bit of a nod to the three Kiwi teams. You can see we've got Kiwi SimSports, which is the top tier team. You've got Kiwi SimSports development team with NZ Snipes and Peter Thrower. And then the underdeveloped team of Cheese and NZ Snipes, who officially converted over to running in Supercars last round. And they were being earmarked to jump into some of the dev team cars or wildcard where drivers weren't able to make it on a given night, and that's why they've got the underdeveloped tagline in their name. It's quite a nice play on words, I think, going from the top team to the development team and then to the guys that are sort of still waiting in the wings a little bit, I guess you call it.
I think it's fantastic. I just wish I came up with it. It's that smart.
It's a fantastic play on words. There's been quite a few, we've seen a few play on words team names in real life as well, and the one that strikes me the most in the local state racing series is Danny Timewell in the improved production with Time Well Spent Racing, I think is the name of that team, and definitely a fantastic little play on words there.
I think Dart Racing, Dave Amor Racing Team is also a pretty good one as well.
Yes, the Dart HQ is the truck is very, very synonymous with being in the local state racing scene. And it looks like we are getting ready to head over to qualifying. There's just a few little matters of business I think have just been getting attended to. Looks like Kurt Stenberg might be having a little bit of a late drama trying to get into the server here. And there was a few extra drivers that we were waiting to see, but they haven't made their appearance just yet. Hans, this could be a very, very closely contested qualifying session. We were looking at the times just before practice concluded. The top 16 drivers, and I kid you not, the top 16 drivers, all within a second of each other. We don't know whether they were on race fuel runs, qualifying laps, or a combination of all of them, but at Symmons Plains, which is the same length circuit as this one, back at round 2, second qualifying session, we had 16 drivers all inside of a second of each other. So we could potentially be about to witness probably one of the best sessions of the year in terms of qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. The shorter tracks really turned it on in terms of the closeness of the qualifying. So, yeah, you're right. It will be one of the best sessions of the year, and I'm keen to watch it.
Just waiting on a couple of last-minute things to get underway here. Looks like all the drivers are just sitting there waiting patiently. We'll go to live pictures in just a few moments. But I guess the big part about this is I think we've got a few people in the live chat as well that are supporting the Kiwis. So Josh Watson in there for the Kiwis. Good to see D2, Dwayne Davies in the live chat as well. I know you've been off sick a little bit in the recent past, D2, but it's good to see you out there and good to see you back supporting the stream. Hopefully we'll see you jump into a seat in a little while, and then Lewis Wedding is doing what Lewis Wedding does and putting some of these wonderful things in the chat. So that's a play on words to Juan Pablo Montoya in the Formula One days when I think it was at Albert Park, and I think you remember this one, Hans. One wonders if one is good enough to win in Formula One. You remember?
That was an absolute classic. That was very, very funny. And Juan Pablo Montoya, in his classic way, would just crack it and just storm out of the press conference. So the thing is about that, you couldn't tell if it was satire or not because he reacted in the exact same way that you would expect him to. But anyway, we're watching Nathan Higginson on screen, 00 Autodesk Motorsport. The 00 is the car number, not 00 Motorsport.
Nope.
It almost went back 21 years. Isn't that fantastic? But
back to Craig Lowndes, yes.
Higo's going to be the first one to set a lap here if he doesn't bowl off the road. So we'll watch him for a split second. Oh, bit of lock brake there. Just to pinch the rear slightly. And the car's just twitched into the corner. Not that great, but he can pull out a good performance when he wants to, Higo.
And he's been driving the car a little bit better,
Hey!
but not right there. I was about to say, he's just taken the words right out of my mouth and just thrown up on them with a little bit of sideways action. He actually drove a pretty smart race or trio of races at the Super 2 round a week ago at this exact circuit. He was driving the car much, much better and found that, hey, you don't have to go sideways to make it toward the front pointy end of the field. So if he can just do that tonight, that will be to his benefit. And he's got the honour of being the first man to be on screen for the stream, as Savage and Devonish and Rutledge have all been out ahead of him and posted some times. There they go around the first corner. And Higginson's opening shot at the moment is about a second away, and it's nearly 1.3 down. So a 55.8, definitely not truly representative of what he can do. And the qualifying session will continue on for another 7.5 minutes. Here's Brendan Ross. He's about to start a lap as well. He's one of the drivers that turned, I think, north of 80 laps in practice in the 2-hour session before, which was almost unheard of, Hans.
Yeah, it's almost like he's just come in, bolted in a set of tyres and then decided to do two race runs. So I guess that's a good way to do it, but his qualifying pace probably won't be anywhere, to be honest. But it's not about where you qualify, it's about where you finish, isn't it, Steve? So hopefully Rossi, he's not going to make the tyres last doing that.
No, definitely not. That's off at Cold Corner, and I think he realises he's about to give the gig up there. So we'll cut across and leave him alone for a bit. Pete Savage and Will Devonish just traded times at the top of the order, 54.160. So we're already under qualifying lap record pace. In fact, Devonish and Savage both under the lap record pace. And Savage hasn't done a lot of practice, but already right up there with the times. I think the best time we'd seen across the practice sessions throughout the week so far was a 54 flat from Luke Rosella, and he's threatening here and getting a really good tow as well.
Yeah, Pete, I think his one lap pace is quite good, but he needs to improve his race pace if he wants to be challenging at the start of the season. So he's up on his PB. He's not up on the best time. I think that's Luke Rosella up there.
That's just been set too. Yeah,
that's been set, yeah.
And there you go. So Devonish then went up to P2. Now Savage getting the tow from Devonish went up to P2. And here's Luke Rosella, who's gone back to the garage and coming out for another run. So the numbers are advancing in the auction for pole position very, very quickly here. And this is actually the best time we've seen all week long. So the 54.025 is better than the 0.83 that Rosella said. I think it was last night or on Wednesday night. So that's definitely the time to beat. And he's eyeing off the 53. He thinks the car's got it in him to do a 53. So it'd be almost unheard of to see that happen.
Pretty interesting to see if anyone can pull out a 53 tonight. Might be in the exclusive domain of Kurt Stenberg if he comes in. I don't know if he's got power issues again, because they have reared their ugly head in the past for him. Just watching Luke Rosella do the old warm-up procedure.
And the drivers have been instructed to get on with it here as well. So if they're not going to get on with it, they've got to get off the line and let the drivers through. Now, it's interesting that you mentioned Luke Rosella and that you also mentioned Kurt Stenberg, because directly behind Luke Rosella is Kurt Stenberg, but he's not in a car you would think he's going to be in. He's actually in a completely different car. So I'm wondering whether or not he's actually had some sort of issue. He was in his own car during the practice session, and he's now swapped into the Irwin Tools Mark Winterbottom car, which is a car that I've actually seen has been getting piloted by Taipan, I think, as well. So I'm not sure what's going on there.
It might be, he might have disqualified himself, actually, if he's run off the road somewhere. You can do it down at turn 4, and that's just the corner previous to where he just came through. But you do that, you go off the road there, you will actually get a disqualification for going the wrong way. So it's probably where he's ended up at Stenberg. If he jumps in, the old Mark Winterbottom machine, the Irwin Commodore, maybe he can pull out a good time.
Rosella's backed out of it now as well and leaves the track to Stenberg. So this time's good enough to put him on second row at the moment with Will Devonish if he keeps this going, with 4 minutes to go in the session. And indeed he does. He goes fourth place with a 54.226. So despite the troubles, a very, very good job of getting up the timing screens very, very late in this session. Now, a couple of the other drivers that we did mention that were doing very, very well in practice was one of them was this man, Cheese, and he is in car 747 and immediately goes to ninth, so justifying what he did in free practice and
Excellent
moving
time.
very smartly up the order, and a very, very smart time as well with a 54.7. Very competitive, going to be extremely competitive midfield, and we look to see where his teammate is in Freakish. He's actually set up in P7 at the moment, just a couple of hundredths away. So the teammates very, very well matched. They have a vast amount of experience here, having done a lot of laps in Super 2.
Road on the inside of Cold Corner.
There it is. It's Ben Hall Ford Mustang, the Team Harvey Norman car, and he stays away. And Luke Rosella, I think, may have done the business. No, he's just lowered the benchmark and gone to a 54.016, so just took off a fraction of time. Big slide from Cheese off the final corner.
He's around.
He's around, and so far around that we couldn't even see him. So
there you go.
There we go.
Nosed into the barrier on the entry to pit lane.
And time.
Hopefully he didn't impale himself on the fence, because you do end up into the air there.
Time for a bit of a look at that one on the Smith & Sons replay. It's actually a brand new camera we've got for this weekend at the final corner. Having a look as they come around the final corner and then on the exit going down the straight. But when they come around the corner, you don't necessarily see them spin off the other way, and that's what happened to Cheese. And yeah, he gave the wall a pretty hefty whack there actually as well. All right, back to live pitches. Good to see Brenton Foley with a little bit of a return to form, although he's just run off the road there. So, but he is inside the top 10 quite firmly at the moment, and he has had a fair old run as of late, Brenton Foley, and probably needs a good run to get the confidence back up and start to fight for some of those podiums again. I think maybe by his even own standards, podiums are probably the best as it's going to get this weekend, and probably for the rest of the season as well. As Devonish has done the business, there we go. It has happened. Will Devonish has cracked the 54-second barrier. He's done a 53.961, so is the first man to have the honour of getting under the 54s, and nobody in ASR history has been under the 54s before.
Excellent time from Devonish there, but is there anyone that can match him? Potentially his teammate, potentially Luke Rosella, but also Kurt Stenberg. Can he pull something magical out of the bag as well?
I think it will be from those top four. They're the guys that we're probably looking to see. Stenberg's got definitely got another lap, and he's probably, if he's got fuel, he'll probably get one more. The next one we probably want to look toward is Luke Rosella, because Pete Savage is in the garage, so he's not going to improve. Neither is Turmo or Freakish. They haven't got enough time to get back out and go for another run, and same goes for Rhodey, who's languishing in last place at the moment. But Rosella's got a little bit of traffic here in the form of Steve Warwick, so he's going to have to be very, very measured about how he attacks this if he wants another go, and this will be his last flying lap. Cutting back to Will Devonish. Devonish is actually up at the first sector split by 0.014. Margins so tight at the moment. And, big lock up on the inside front right, and a big slide going into the bowl and on the way out as well. And that will be session done for Will Devonish.
Over and out.
Over and out. And Stenberg will get another bite at the cherry here with just a handful of seconds left on the clock. The times, last few times starting to come in, and the clock has now officially gone zero. So we do try and have a little bit of a look at what's going on the front straight here as cars all start to come in. Here they go. There goes Steve Warwick, Brenton Foley, and we've got an improvement for Foley. No, we don't. We had an improvement for Steve Warwick, though. He moved up to 20th place. There's Cheese. And across the line he goes and does not improve. Come back to Kurt Stenberg, who's up on the PB, but still down on pole position, and he's actually bailing out of it. So that's him done and dusted.
Was very good though, so unfortunately he couldn't continue with the lap, but it looks like it will be fourth place for him.
It certainly will be. Cam Rutledge on screen now. He'll get to the line and down in 21st place. No improvement from him. And that, it looks like, is all is said and done for qualifying. The only last two cars down the track, Steve Warwick and this man NZ Snipes. They're just tootling around back to pit lane. But your pole sitter is going to be Will Devonish and Luke Rosella on the front row. Pete Savage and Kurt Stenberg. Tim Redmond, good result again, continues to provide good qualifying results for Kiwi Sim Sports. Brendan Ross, that's a shock, actually. I'm going to cycle up to you. Brendan Ross in 6th place. That's probably beyond what I think he would have been expecting as the night came on. So that's a fantastic result from him. And his teammate is 8th place. You can see there also to the side of screen. Steve Burko with probably his good qualifying as well. Position 7 for car 7. Brenton Foley in 8th. Lai Mitch inside the top 10. He's 9th there. He's on the far right of the screen. And then Cheese, who we were singing his praises a bit earlier, he has found himself in 10th place inside the top 10. So good result from quite a lot of drivers in that one. And probably some that are probably ruining, maybe being blocked by traffic or whatnot. But Hans, have a look at this. The top 20 drivers covered by 1 second.
Yeah, that's almost unheard of. That's pretty good. And Cam Rutledge as well, only 1.15 seconds behind. And then we got Noah Tara, Ben Hall, Rody, and Taipan. Taipan didn't actually make it out. There was actually an issue for him. The game didn't stop synchronizing, so he got spilt from the server. But all up, the top 20 cars being within 1 second, that's pretty impressive.
That is very, very impressive. And some of the, like I said, the notable performances that have come out of that one, definitely Brendan Ross, hats off. Probably his best qualifying session that we've seen for some time. Brenton Foley, good return to form as well. He's right in the thick of it there as well. Termo, I'm probably a little bit disappointed. I think he probably would have been targeting a top 10 starting position for that one. He's only one position out in 11th place, but he did win all 3 of the Super 2 races that were here just a week ago. And he didn't win them by a huge amount, but he did comfortably win them.
He did just enough to get the tyres home and saved enough in the tank, or rather in the life of the tyres, to be able to get them home. But he was hemorrhaging quite a fair bit of time towards the end of the race. But that was his strategy, and he worked it to perfection in those 3 races, taking all 3 race victories. So very dominant performance from Termo in the Super 2 Championship, and also 3rd place getter at Phillip Island, which we were all celebrating about at Phillip Island. And I'll never forget that, actually. It was a very, very good moment.
Absolutely, definitely a very, very good moment. So 25 cars will take the start for this one, and a new qualifying lap record as well to Will Devonish, 53.981. Absolutely smashing the previous record out of the park by about half a second. And I think even the top 5 or 6 cars, I think, were actually under the old lap record pace. So that's impressive.
Yeah, it just shows that the skills of the category are developing with every single season, even every single event, and especially seeing Cheese up there as well. Pretty impressive when some of the more seasoned Kiwi guys are a bit down in the doldrums. I mean, ended Snipes down in 12th, but Cheese being able to out-qualify someone who was forcibly promoted to Supercars, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, definitely. We'll actually pick up some of the action that's going on in this warm-up session just before we get to the first race of the night. There we go. Got a little bit of activity going on. Here's Brendan Ross. You've got Cam Rutledge as well. Now, I'm wondering if these guys are coming around to practice the pit entries, or they're coming around to practice the pit lane exits or starts. Now, pit lane entry, you can see there, Cam Rutledge diving off to the left of your screen, which is his right. That is the official pit lane entry that they're using tonight. They're not using the original and current modern day pit entry, just from some safety grounds. We did see in the race last year, Hans, remember at the second race at this very circuit, there was a couple of incidents at the final corner with cars getting tagged and ending up actually spilling across through the pit lane. So if you actually get spun or spilt through the modern day pit entry, you can actually come into the pits, but apart from that, it's off limits, and you've got to use the entry before you get to turn 7.
I wonder if there's some sort of tactic and they're going to say, hey, can you fire me off so I can get a really good heater on my in-lap and, absolutely smash it. But your tyres will be very second-hand at the end of it, so you might want to change tyres, and you might not want to do that way before lap 21. Here we go. Luke Rosella showing us the right way to enter pit lane. Very good.
Yep, and also practicing the transit time too. So you've just got to keep an eye on the clock up there just to see what the transit time actually is. It's at about 7 or 8 seconds now. He's actually going to do a full cycle stop here by the look of it, and just make sure he gets on the mark in the box. This will be a good time for us just to see how it goes. Nope, he's made a fool of us. He's gone back to the garage.
pretty much stopped on the marks though, which was pretty impressive.
Yep. So looking at what the transit time is, you can see there, I think it's probably at least 20 seconds through the lane plus your time to stop. So in much the same way as Simmons Plains here, Hans, you are going to go a lap down or very close to going a lap down if you're pitting out at the midfield early on. And then you're going to have to fight to get that position back. You're going to almost have to get that position back through the sequence of stops that occur and then pray for a safety car, because I think a lot of drivers are going to be struggling to try and make that one-stop strategy work if the Super 2 race is anything to go by. There were definitely a few drivers that had their fair share of moments with tyre failures and having to nurse the left-hand side tyres home. I think we were some of them that were debating over what the right settings were for the anti-roll bars and how to tackle some of these corners to try and prolong the longevity of that front left and to a degree the rear left tyre as well.
Yeah, you're spot on there. It was, I think a lot of people may be running a softer setup allegedly with the ostensible purpose of making the tyres last. But obviously some people have different preferences. Some people prefer to go stiffer on the anti-roll bar. Some prefer to go softer. And that basically determines whether the inside tyre or the outside tyre is taking most of the load. So obviously you want the inside tyre to pull the car through the corner, or the outside tyre to carry all the load and basically push the car through the corner. So this is all very high level stuff, and I don't quite understand it myself, but I'm sure there's one way that works and one way that doesn't.
Yeah, there definitely will be. And plenty of familiar faces out there, so there's a few wildcards in there tonight too. So this is Taipan on screen at the moment. It's making his first wildcard appearance in the category, so he's done fairly well. Had a pretty solid race through Super 2 and has earned himself a promotion up to the main game for the night. Also, Darren Kemp's out there again. We've seen Kempy box on quite nicely at Phillip Island and Queensland Raceway. He's actually put his elbows out on a number of occasions and proven that he's starting to take that moniker away from me about being one of the more difficult guys in the group to pass. And that's definitely no mean feat. You've done a very, very good service there. And Noah Tara stepping in as well. Now, he's out there, I believe, setting some laps as well. Here he is. Now, he was actually at Adelaide, piloted the ASR Guest Mustang. He stepped into the Penrite car for this weekend because Darren Kemp has preference on the Mustang that's in the ASR branding. So I think they probably drew short straws and Noah drew the short one. So he's earned the honours of piloting this car for the night. And then there's this man who I'm just struggling to cycle and find if he's out there. And yes, he is out there. So now the car's familiar, the surname's familiar, but the first name is not. And Braxton Stancliffe, who's just gone back to the pits as the game resets itself, is filling in as a substitute for his father tonight. Now, we were hoping that this was going to be, I guess, the very moment that the fourth father and son pairing shared a grid in ASR Supercars main game. But unfortunately for Scott, his PC's gone and done a nasty thing, and it's not working for him. So
it's gone and turned itself into a microwave oven.
Pretty much.
And that is not a good thing generally when you're thinking about PC. So hopefully Scott can come back in soon. He can get that all sorted. But it's Braxton's time to shine, not with Dad in the field as well, but he is taking over Dad's car and he is doing a fantastic job so far. Hopefully he can stay out of trouble, maybe finish the race. And that would be, I think, that would be the best goal that he could set right now. But the good thing is Kiwi Sim Sports didn't need to worry about putting a new sticker on the window because of the same surname. So pretty handy.
Yep, you're not wrong there. Definitely not too much work required there. So that'll take a little bit of getting used to. And I guess the good thing for the Kiwis is it's just about getting the team's points as well. That's the whole purpose of the substitutes, is get your men in the cars, make sure you accrue the team points. Good to get a bit of experience under the belt as well. And, never know, there's always Darwin. I think that's probably the next one we'll look forward to. And hopefully they'll become the fourth father and son pairing behind the Warwicks, the Spencers and the Taras to share a Supercars main game grid. Just waiting on a couple of small items of business to attend to here. We had to actually reset the quali server and get a couple of things together for that, and a few guys are having some of those dramas from before. So we mentioned that Taipan was just turning a few laps. He didn't set some laps in qualifying. There was a couple of AMS issues for him, and we're just getting ready, I think, to go again and sort out the grid. So what we might do is take a very, very short break, and we'll hopefully be back on the other side of this with Race 1. Don't go anywhere. ASR's Supercars Championship in 2021 is proudly brought to you by Smith & Sons Renovations and Extensions. Smith & Sons, design, plan, construct. Cam Rutledge Electrical and Matt Harvey Repair and Tune. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are in a holding pattern. We're about 20 seconds away from going to race 1 for the night. Hans, I don't want to call this race. Not that I don't want to actually call the race itself, but I don't want to call the winner of this race. There's probably at least half a dozen guys that are capable of taking the chocolates for this one in probably what is a circuit we've seen over years gone past that can deliver absolutely anything.
Yeah, spot on. And actually, I would usually be contrarian and just pick someone out just for gags. But honestly, I couldn't pick someone out even if I tried. So, yeah, it's going to be a fantastic race, and just shows the depth of the field right now, and also the quality of the racing that Wanneroo Park provides year on year whenever we come here. And it just shows that whenever there is a mistake, there are people who can capitalise on it. And you have to be in it to win it, the old cliche goes, but you have to be there or thereabouts. And there are probably, like you said, good 5 or 6 cars that are there. And those cars are the ones that they probably won't go a lap down if they pit, but they need to be able to stick with the leaders in that case.
They certainly do. We've got the grid starting to form up here. It looks like there's a little bit of a drama going on at the back of the grid. I'm just trying to see what's happening. There's a couple of cars that are side by side. I'm just wondering if that's 2 cars. Yeah, it looks like 2 cars occupying the same grid spot at the very back. I'm not sure what's going on there. There it is at the back of the shot if you're wondering what's going on. That's what I was looking at. And we now go back to
sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. We go back to the front of the field, Hans. Let's roll through the grid.
One guy not sharing the pole position so far too well this season is Will Devenish. He's taking a whole heap of them, and I don't know which one this is, but he's got another one. First man into the 53, his new lap record. Luke Rosella qualifies second. An excellent job in number 55. Pete Savage in third, and Kurt Stenberg, sorry, not Kurt Stenberg, it's actually Tim Redmond in fourth. Tim Redmond doing a fantastic job for Kiwi Sim Sports, really flying the flag there. In fifth is Brendan Ross, like you said. Very, very good job from Brendan. Probably a little bit more pace out of the car than we might have expected, but we'll see how the race pans out for him. Steve Burko in sixth. Actually, I just noticed there's someone missing from the grid, but anyway, we'll press on. In seventh is Brenton Foley, and yeah, good performance from Foley. Probably podium is the best he can hope for. First of the AAR cars is Lime Mitch in 8th, then Cheese in 9th, and then Termo down in 10th position. Can't spot which car that is next. That is Freakish. Yeah, here we go. My 480p monitor here working fantastically as usual. Then following him is Lewis Wedding. Actually, I was thinking of the Kiwi Sim Sports car in front of him, but Lewis Wedding in 12th. In 13th, we have Peter Thrower for Kiwi Sim Sports underdeveloped team. Nathan Higginson in 14th. Orjit Mishra in 15th. And then in 16th is Braxton Stancliffe filling in for Dad. Darren Kemp in 17th place. 18th place is Steve Warwick, and 19th Cam Rutledge. 20th is Noah Turra. And it's like the stream is lagging a little bit, but anyway, off we go.
Off we go. Had a little bit of a hard one there. And at the front of the grid, sorry, we took a bit long to roll through that. Will Devenish has fluffed the start yet again, and has let Luke Rosella off the hook and given him clean path on the inside on the run up to turn 1.
And now he's off the road, almost there.
A few guys off the road already as they fight their way up through the S's for the first time. This car's going 3 wide on the run into turn 4, right behind him as well. It's dangerous. A huge gaggle. It's very dangerous. And you can see it's in this mid-pack here with Darren Kemp caught out. Kurt Stenberg's in there as well. I've got some late-breaking mail coming through in just a few moments, which I'll let you know about. But this is an angry middle pack. And then out in front, it is Luke Rosella trying his best to bolt away and lead the first lap, which he should comfortably do. Now remember, his debut, we talked about last round 3 weeks ago, was on the same date 3 weeks ago. This was the track where he debuted, and if not for some of those game glitches, he probably would have been on for a really good result, and he's doing that plenty of favours now, leading lap 1.
Yeah, Luke Rosella, 1 year since he made his fantastic debut in ASR competition, now leading the first lap after getting an excellent start off the line, putting Devonish back into second. And just noticed Tim Redmond up there into third place as well. So obviously CRE guys not very good with the starting procedure.
Oh, someone's been served. Sorry, Hans. Freakish has been served just coming up through turn 5. I'm not sure if he got a little bit of contact with another car. It looked like there was another car on the scene. There's again an angry gaggle of cars approaching that part of the circuit. We will go and take a look at this one on the Smith & Sons replay, because this very angry pack has I'm wondering if Freakish just got spilt or if he did that of his own knowing. I thought he got turned. It was very late, and oh no, he was on the curb all by himself there. So unfortunately, I do apologise that no one did serve him. That is a self-inflicted, that one.
Easy to do for Freakish there. It just shows the car needs good balance, and sometimes you need to steer the car with your right foot.
Now, the late breaking news. We'll come back to it now. Kurt Stenberg, currently 10th place. You can see up 15 spots. He has actually been served a rear of grid start. And late mail coming through was that a breach of the qualifying etiquette, which is text chat during qualifying. So a very rare mistake from Kurt Stenberg. I think it may have been to do with the car issues that he was having. And that's a big no-no in ASR, so he's having to fight his way through at the moment. And have a look at this. He's giving
he's being boxed in here. He's being boxed in, and it could be a massive accident here.
Yep, just cool the jets. That's what's got to happen. Just back it off, cool the jets. He's got Rossi on the right, and Lime Mitch ahead of him as well, and he has got nowhere to go. And there's a car at the front that I just saw just got served, and it's Will Devonish. He's gone down the escape road at 1. Has he had contact with another car? He has. He's had contact with another car.
Redmond.
There he is.
It's like Redmond down there.
There is contact with them down there. Now, we're going to go to the replay of this one as well. So, action stations early on, and he did have a sneaky look there on the inside at the last corner of Luke Rosella. Oh, Redmond, out of control, just left it too late.
That's unfortunate.
That's very unfortunate, just left it too late, and that takes both those gentlemen out of the podium spots. And look where it's put them. It's put them in 21st and 22nd place, and I think Will Devonish has probably come off worse for wear with that one, Hans, because he's dropping like a stone.
He's gone heavily into the wall. And,
I reckon he's got a puncher. I reckon he's got a puncher on the front left.
Yeah, that car does not want to steer at all, and off he is into the sand at Cold Corner. That's so not ideal start once again for Will Devonish, and this time not of his own doing.
No, definitely not of his own doing that time, and I think there'll definitely be a little bit of a question mark placed over that one, and yeah, he's limping that car back into pit lane. He's going to go a lap down here for sure. That will then leave his teammate Pete Savage, the hometown man Pete Savage, along with Kurt Stenberg, to fly the flag for CRE Race Engineering as much as possible. And look who he's got with him. This is a resurgence from Steve Burko as well. He's right in the game here.
Steve Burko, a quiet first few rounds of the season, but now he's come on strong, and should be a good round for him over here, because I've seen Pete Savage and Steve, they race together quite a fair bit, and that Barbagallo is one of the tracks they like. On board with Steve Burko now for Boost Mobile in-car camera.
On the run to turn 1, just tucked in behind Pete Savage here, just biding his time. I think just maybe playing the long game. Got to think about the long game here. It is a long race, 100 kilometres over 42 laps. You've got to pick and choose your moments about when you want to pass, when you want to pit. You've got to make all those decisions very quickly at a very short track. You can see here just little trims of the steering wheel, not a lot of input going on.
The road there.
He did.
You'll be lucky not to get a track cut there, because it does give you a track cut if you end up too far off the road. I see he uses a constant radius corner there, so probably uses a bit more of the front tyre than he would like, but probably keeps the mid-corner speed up as well. See Pete Savage just get a really good run out of there, and Will Devonish goes from bad to worse for him with a drive-through penalty. Very sad.
And he's leaving pit lane now. There he is. So he has indeed gone a lap. Actually, he has stayed on the lead lap, but only just. And he's going.
He will be going a lap down after
now.
this drive-through
penalty. Definitely after the drive-through penalty, he will be going one lap down for sure.
Not to mention, if he's gone and taken tyres, it ruins his strategy from here.
Correct. Actually, he is one lap down officially. Actually, the live timing has just updated to show that he is a lap down. So there we go. And yeah, you're right. His night has gone from bad to worse at the moment, and it's hard for him as well to, I guess, to swallow, because that definitely wasn't his fault, and he's just going to have to perform a salvage operation. He's coming into the pits to serve that now. But that does move a few people up the order. So Kurt Stenberg has moved up to 4th place. He's fought his way through the field quite well. Brent Foley behind him has had a pretty decent start as well, and Termo's advanced a few spots as well. So this has really shaken up the top 10 as it stands right now. Puts Cheese into the top 10 in 7th. Lewis Wedding, Nathan Higginson and Cam Rutledge have found their way into the top 10 by virtue of all of the misfortune of others and all of the carnage at the start. And they are quite happily and handily in the 10 at the moment.
Very good to see Higo up there. I know I make fun of him for being over drivers anonymous, but hopefully he can keep the car straight and maybe take care of the tyres as well.
There's been Fortune Mishra's going down the old pit lane entrance there. I'm not sure
he's
what
probably
happened.
ended up going out there out wide and probably didn't want to get the track cut. So probably discretion being the better part of valor there.
Yeah, well, let's have a look at this one on the Smith & Sons replay. So he was a little bit wide. Oh, there was a spinner there as well, which I think was Braxton Stancliffe, and I'm thinking maybe Mishra maybe thought that he'd actually maybe induced that contact just by the looks of things. So actually that's pretty smart when you think about it. If he's done that to give that position back to Braxton Stancliffe and then just decided to come on at that part of the course, that's actually pretty smart driving.
Yeah, pretty good of him to stay out of the way and just slide it back in right in the middle of turn 1.
It actually slots him back into this really angry pack as well. Rhodey, Darren Kemp, Peter Thrower all in here as well. These guys,
they're all diving everywhere trying to find a way past.
They're trying to find the clear air as well, Hans, because dirty air and circuit like this just starts to really destroy the front tyres.
Here goes. He's got an overlap. Is he going to make it? No. Darren Kemp bites on, and he tries to go up the inside of the roadie at it as well. So yeah, it's going to be a very angry battle pack here. It could be 2x2 here at the moment.
That's playing defence as well as playing attack for Darren Kemp. He was attacked on roadie. At the same time, he had to cover off Urgent Mishra. He gave him almost enough space just to make that one work. And now Mishra's getting past the roadie mobile as well. And so too Peter Thrower, I think, will be lining up the opportunity. Oh, roadie across, and has he saved that? He saved it.
Save.
Full cross opposite lock and skated through the bowl and managed to avoid making contact with Peter Thrower. Good situational awareness from Thrower in car 56 behind as well.
That could have been a massive accident, but thankfully it wasn't. Good heads-up awareness driving from all 3 drivers there. Very good.
Let's have a look at this on the onboard for Rhodey as well. And he got the grass. That's what the problem was. He got the grass on the side there, and he's very lucky not to wipe out.
He slotted back into that gap that he vacated only 100 metres earlier. So fantastic driving there from Rhodey.
That's fantastic. We saw that with Dane Liccardo last time out at Queensland Raceway with that pass that he made at the final corner and then switched it from outside to inside, then made another pass as well, which I think we called as pass of the year. That one from Rhodey is probably save of the year so far, I think.
And all these troubles that Rhodey's having right now, it brings, again, a bit more troubles into cold corner, and he lets Freakish by. Sorry, Peter Thrower by, and might let Ben Hall by as well.
Now, the sad thing for Nathan Higginson, we were pumping up his tyres just a few moments ago. He actually has retired from this race. I'm not sure what the retirement is related to. I'm just having a bit of a look now. It looks like it's just a straight disconnect for a DNF, and looks like NZ Snipes maybe has exited as well. So there's a little bit of drama going on throughout the race. We've lost one car. We've lost through DNF. We've lost another car for an unknown reason, and I guess we press on for the moment. The battle we're looking at the moment is Termo and Cheese. So this is for 6th and 7th place, and this is actually quite close. Cheese with a really good head of steam, and just tacking onto the back of the Turmo train, or as we call it, the Turmo bus. All aboard the Turmo bus, or hashtag all aboard the Turmo bus if you're in the live chat there. And Cheese was, as I think you called it rightly, Hans, one of the standout performers in Super 2 at this round a week ago. And his best lap at the moment is actually 0.2 of a second quicker than Turmo. So he's definitely got some pace aboard car 747. And I don't know whether he wants to try and execute a pass much the same way a lot of these other guys are starting to just tuck into the slipstream of somebody and just tow themselves along, and then maybe try and execute an undercut or an overcut depending on the strategy in about 10 laps time is what we're predicting.
You could say car 747 right now with Cheese on board is a real jet.
You could indeed. 747, the retiring 747s as well. There's not too many of them left in circulation, so that's most of them I think are in the Mojave Desert.
And they're probably going to get turned into tomorrow's Coke can. So you never know where your Coke can materials came from. It might have just been flying around the world as a 747-200.
Might very well have been. Tim Redmond, he's tracking along all right at the moment after that first corner incident in the opening couple of laps. He's moved his way all the back up to 11th, so he would have had a little bit of damage, but has been able to press on. So he's got to just try and make a fistful of the points.
I don't think he'll be too happy with it, because he was definitely up there for a good portion of the race, and unfortunately it all came unstuck. And I believe Brendan Ross has dropped out of the race as well.
Yeah, he definitely has. He's just dropped out in the last few seconds, so he's out after 10 laps. They're dropping like flies. So 3 of the 26 that started, unfortunately, out of this race. 2 of them you can see DNF at the bottom of your screen there, the third one being NZ Snipes. And now we have a little bit of a look back towards the front of the pack. Now, I think Pete Savage has made a mistake somewhere, and indeed he did on the last lap. He had a poor first sector, and Burko's gone through, Kurt Stenberg's gone through, and now Burko's got to defend from Stenberg for the better part of the next couple of laps until they start to get to the stops. I don't think that Steve will make it probably overtly difficult for Kurt, although that being said, he does move over to the middle of the road to defend. And now forcing Stenberg to go down the narrow side on the run to the 10. Was there some contact there?
Oh, it didn't look like on my screen, but then again, from a good angle, we'll have to go on board to find out.
Well, we're going to go and have a look at that one on board now. Let's go and look at that one on the Smith & Sons replay screen. That was a go with the roof-mounted camera for Kurt Stenberg. Here they are on the run out of the bowl up to turn 7. And defensive line there, Burko, and no contact. I'm not saying. I think that's outbraked himself well and truly, I think. And
he outbraked himself as well. He was very close to going up. He was close to ending up in Perth City, actually. He was that deep into the corner.
He definitely was. Now, the margin between second and first at the moment sits at 4.3. It's now 4.1. So Stenberg's going to take a couple of chunks out here. Oh, and there's a blown engine, I think, just ahead. That's the Harvey Norman car for Ben Hall. He has...
there's a barbecue on board.
There is a barbecue on board, and I have seen that, and there it is. The barbecue has occurred, and Ben Hall is out of this race. So another one bites the dust if you're a Queen fan, and that does give another position to Will Devonish. So he might be a lap down, but he is still getting a couple of points every time one of these drivers has a moment. Stenberg very wide at turn 4 there.
A bit unconventional, but anyway, still on the road, still pressing on.
And Burko's rejoined in 5th place after that little off at turn number 7. And we are starting to get a few stoppers starting to come in. So Freakish has come in on lap 15, and he's in the lane at the moment. So this is definitely a 2-stop strategy for Freakish.
Probably the conservative thing to do. And Freakish, another one of the Super 2 runners last Friday night.
And minute 26 there on the clock as he came across the line. So that gives you an idea that it is about a 30-second transit time, including getting the stop over and done with. And that's probably a short fill as well. and probably expect to see him, I'd imagine, around the late 20s to early 30s for his second and final stop. He's come out just ahead of Kurt Stenberg here, who continues to erode the margin that Luke Rosella has built up. So Luke's done a good job to put some distance between himself and the chasing pack, and they're probably going to need that when we get through the pit stop sequence, because he's not only chasing a win for the first time this season, he is also chasing a first win for a Ford Mustang in ASR Supercars. The FGX Falcon's got a win. The Commodores in ZB guys and VF guys have got wins. The Nissan even has a win, and so too the Volvo. Remember, he piloted the Volvo last year and won the 200-kilometre race at Hamilton. But the Mustang, whether it be in this body shape or the previous gen body shape we used last year and for the latter part of 2019, doesn't have a win in ASR Supercars.
You're spot on there, and as I was about to say, maybe he might get a win in the Mustang tonight, but Kurt Stenberg fighting back from a rear of grid penalty for chatting in the qualifying session, and looks like he has a heap of pace on board, and maybe it could be a win for Kurt Stenberg tonight. First time in ASR competition at Barbagallo Wanneroo Park.
There he is, just behind there as well, little local yellow flag.
He is menacing, isn't he?
He's getting very, very close, and he's very sideways out of the final corner as well. He's definitely throwing a kitchen sink at it, and I just see Urja Mishra has just dropped out of this race as well. So there are plenty of drivers that are starting to chalk up a few unforced errors, whether they are internet disconnects, whether they're blown engines or what have you. They are chalking them up. Now, also a bit further behind, Burko had fallen into the clutches of Termo, who got past at the bowl, and Cheese has just gone through on Burko at turn number 1. So Burko's just starting to probably feel the punishment that those tyres are taking as the race wears on. We are getting into one-stop territory here, and it was a mechanical drama for Urja Mishra, we're told, for why he is out of this race. And Hans, we're down to lap 19. The half distance mark comes up in 2 laps time. Do you take that gamble and go to lap... Oh, there's been an incident at the final corner. I think Stenberg may have been turned, and he has, and he's taken service. So he's gone early. Now, that was unintended. I'm wondering, did he get... Will Devonish was in the vicinity. I'm wondering whether there was some contact here coming down the hill through the final corner. Just like 1 year ago. You're precisely accurate on that one. There was contact in the second race last year. And Stenberg on the narrow line. And yeah, there was a bit of contact there. And Stenberg knows the rules. And the rule was if you got turned at that, you could use that entrance to the pits. So he's decided to bite the bullet there. Now, has he come out and gone onto the hard tyre? That's the next question that we need to answer, because he's just short of the half distance mark. The Super 2 guys were struggling to get the soft tyre to last the 21 laps. So what strategy stroke has he pulled here?
If you go onto the hard tyre, you can drive it as hard as you can, but if you go onto the soft tyre, you have to baby it around. So either way, you're still doing slow lap time, so you might as well go to the hard tyre, I'd say.
Very well, possibly. I think a few of us tried the hard tyre in Super 2 as well. It actually wasn't terrible. He definitely got a little bit more longevity on the hard tyre, but it just didn't have the ultimate race pace to run with. And Stenberg came out in 11th place. He's moved up to 10th now as the field starts to cycle through pit lane. And Lockie Burke now taking service. That puts Cheese up to 4th place. Termo to 3rd. Brent Foley now goes through to 2nd place overall on the road. I'm expecting to see the race leader. And in actual fact, Luke Rosella has come in and taken service, and he has come out in 8th place. So here he is. He maintains. So he's reacted to Stenberg coming in, and he maintains what is effectively the lead of the race. He may have even increased his margin very, very slightly as well. Get an update, the second sector split right about now. So he's across the line, and 3.3 back to Stenberg. Now down to 2.66. So Stenberg with a little bit of a better outlap, it seems, at the moment, and has just put Taipan actually has passed Taipan for, is that position? No, that's for, that's just putting him a lap down. And Stenberg immediately sets the fastest lap of the race at a 54.499, which is a new race lap record.
Yeah, Luke needs to get a move on here. He did cover off Stenberg from that pit stop, and just seeing Brenton Foley exiting the pits here as well.
Plenty of drive.
He's probably covering off someone.
Plenty of drivers who haven't stopped, and they're all starting to cycle through now. So Pete Savage has made it to lap 22, which is what Luke Rosella was telling me in the chat. If you can make it to lap 22, you sort of have that little bit of an extra insurance policy. You've got the extra lap under your belt because you've done the out lap or the formation lap, and you've done the half, more than half distance. So you've actually made the tyre last very, very well. And Savage is in, and he's still effectively the race leader until the second place, third place guys all cross the line. Termo's come through as well, and here they are leaving the lane. Now, where does that put Savage? It puts him into third place overall. There goes Stenberg, so he is about 5 or 6 seconds further up the road. There's Savage just starting to emerge from pit lane. So this margin has closed down. It's closed down a huge amount in the last couple of laps, and Stenberg is, as you called it rightly, Hans, he's really menacing at the moment. He's right in the hunt here, and he's going to be all over Luke Rosella like a cheap suit in just a few seconds.
You can see how he's driving the car in there. He's driving the car in fairly hard. He's trying to carry the mid-corner speed through it, and he's able to do that with fantastic effect, and that really helps him on the exit. And gee, look how much he closes under brakes. Very, very good there.
Very, very good under brakes. The lap traffic of Braxton Stancliffe gets out of the way, and the pass might be on here at one.
It's going to be on.
Yep.
Yeah, the move is on, and he's got it. He's got it. Very well done.
And he set a new fastest lap of the race as well. That was easy pickings at the end of the day for Kurt Stenberg. So not sure where the pace has gone from the Luke Rosella machine after the pit stop sequence, but it was starting to fade before the stops happened, and now he's down to second place. Now the real question we have is Stenberg did come in at lap 19, so what lap pace has he got, and will the tyre drop off a bit later in this race? We're going to see a puncture or a tyre wear or a tyre drama for Stenberg, given he's going to have to go that little bit extra.
I think at this stage, Stenny can afford to perhaps relax a little bit, because I think he definitely has a pace advantage over Luke Rosella at the moment. And I think Luke Rosella's pace, although better than the CRE cars, I don't think it was any match for Stenberg. And once he got up there, it was only a matter of time.
Yeah, definitely right there. Just, as soon as he got to the rear bumper, he actually wasted no time whatsoever, and he's already started opening up a margin as well. So he's got plenty of pace aboard car number one. And have with the line, really interesting line through turn 4 there, Hans.
Throws it right in there, gets the car turned, and then brings up the throttle gently. So might be helping him with his tyre life there, but also being in clear air as well, he's able to drive the car the way that he sees fit, and he can make the car last.
Definitely can. Just, again, it's always about thinking about the tyre wear and making sure you can make it last. He's doing a really good job at the moment. Let's have a look a bit further down the field elsewhere. There are plenty of battles going on. We're just having a look at the back end of the top 10, and Steve Burko, we've mentioned him a couple of times already tonight. He's now been shuffled back down the order to 10th place. Tim Redmond has gone back past him after the stops have all been completed. So all the one-stoppers should have been in and gone by now. And the next phase for them is just looking to see any of the two-stoppers. So the one that interests me the most is Freakish in 11th place. Probably expecting him in fairly soon.
Well, he's going to commit to the two-stop strategy?
Well, he's got no choice. Will Devonish has to commit to the two-stop strategy because he had that incident down at turn 1 with Tim Redmond, which was not his fault, ending up with the puncture. So he was in very, very early, and a bit of luck. This is, what we're doing the math here, this is 18 laps from home. So stopping now will comfortably get him home on this tyre until the very end. It'll be a soft tyre, and if Freakish was in the same sort of opportunity as well, he can probably stop from here and get home as well. Probably expect to see him maybe closer to lap 30 before he comes in for the stop. And Devonish is still 21st, feeds out back in behind Lockie Burke, and ahead of Braxton Stancliffe on the road. Now, Thrower's just got another drive-through penalty. I think he's actually just gone to spin in to serve his drive-through penalty that he got for touring the pits. So some of the Kiwis in the wars tonight, some of them doing very, very well. And probably the best one at the moment that's doing the best is Cheese. He's actually up to 5th place. So this is a really, really solid drive from Cheese. He's contested all the rounds so far. The first 3 of them were as wildcard appearances, and the last 2 have been as a fully fledged main game driver for the underdeveloped team. And really, really solid job at the moment. And ahead of some more seasoned veterans at the moment, ahead of Termo, ahead of Lewis Wedding, ahead of Steve Burko. So he's really showing them how it's done here. Not been long in the league. He's only been in the league for a year, and really thoroughly deserved his the opportunity to jump up into a vacant main game seat.
I know his car is racing for Kiwi Sim Sports underdeveloped team, but definitely nothing underdeveloped about his performance tonight. It is fantastic, and probably the story of the night, I reckon. Cheese, he's rocked up after 1 week ago, the excellent performance he had in the Super 2 round, and he's backing it up again, and for some reason he gels with this circuit out in Perth. So very, very good job. And the Kiwi Sim Sports guys, they've got plenty of guys to choose from if they need a call-up.
They sure do. A couple of other good performances at the moment. Cam Rutledge, this will be probably music to his ears. He's kept his nose very, very clean through everything that's been going on. Started 20th, is currently in 10th place, and is on the one-stop strategy. So he's made this strategy work. And the only man he's really got to be worried about is Freakish behind him. Now, Freakish is on that 2-stop strategy. He has come in very, very early. I don't think he'll be able to make the hard tyre last from lap 15 all the way through to the end, but I'm happy to be proven wrong if he has gone onto the hard tyre. But for Cam, I don't think that this will be any immediate threat for him, and that if he just keeps it going the way he's going, he will end up with a top 10 finish.
And well-deserved top 10 finish as well, because I think the season hasn't started exactly the way Cam would have liked, especially after the improvements he had last season. I think he would like to continue that, and this is probably more of the performances that he would like to see, and what we would like to see out of him as well, in fact. So Cam's doing a fantastic job, up 10 spots from 20th, now in 10th, and looking to really cement his position as the final car in the top 10.
Yeah, by his own admission, he has missed being up the top 10 end of the field. He would like to be a bit over the halfway mark. Year-on-year improvements in times, and that's I don't mean that as a joke. I do mean that seriously.
Burko has just retired,
and Burko is gone, so he has retired out of what was that for him? That was 14th place. So I'm worried that might be. He's just gone. I think he's had an internet drama. He's just gone straight on at turn number 6. I think we've actually haven't even got the footage. The proper footage doesn't even look right. So it is a bit of a laggy footage, so we won't show it. But he is definitely out of this race. So that puts Cam up to 9th. It puts Freakish up to 10th. And the next person I think that we're looking forward to here is Lime Mitch. So he's hard charging, and expect to see him threatening for a top 10 berth. Steve Warwick's actually commendable performance for him as well. For Steve Warwick, has done really well in Super 2 at this exact venue, and had a good run in GT3 at Laguna Seca as well. 2 top 10, well and truly inside the top 10 finishes for Steve Warwick. It's just sort of found that a little bit of form at the moment, I think we can call it, Hans.
Yeah, Steve's doing a very good job right now, and as of lately, he's been doing pretty good as well. So I think having son Colin being an expert sim racer of sorts, I think it helps him. But as well, you have to know what you're doing. And Steve, he's fantastic to race around. Fantastic guy to boot as well. So great to have him in our category for Blackshaw Smash Repairs Racing, and hopefully Colin can come back as well. One of the father-son pairings. It would be very good to have along once again.
Yeah, I'm sure he's watching along in the live chat somewhere. Cole, we miss you. Get out here, mate, and get your car out again. We look forward to seeing you. But Steve Warwick is one of the elder statesmen in the ASR stable, and definitely loves a good chat. We actually see him some nights when we've got the Formula One streams going, and we're watching those races at Sparrow's Fart in the morning. Sometimes he definitely enjoys hanging around and having a chat. So good to have him on board.
Rumour has it he's in his 60s, but he's still a spring chicken, actually. So, yeah, I don't believe for a second that he's in his 60s. So, he's in good nick, Steve Warwick. So, he's doing a good performance tonight, and he generally does. Whatever he jumps in, he does all right in.
He definitely does. Now, Turmo has slipped past Cheese in the last lap for 5th place, so puts Cheese down to 6th place on the list. He has been terminated, and the next man probably to be terminated by for Cheese is Lewis Wedding, who's dragging Tim Redmond along with him as they try and recover there, as Redmond tries to recover his way through the field. Wedding, again, one of those drivers that just kept his nose clean, and I think I've seen the chat in Discord, or his suffix under his name in Discord. He's called himself the football of ASR because he's been punted a few too many times, and the last one of those actually happened at Laguna Seca with the man who is behind him on track at the moment. So this probably is going to be a shred of nerves for Lewis Wedding at the moment, with Redmond right up his chuff as they head down towards turn 6.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried too, actually, because I'm anticipating the blow-up that could come. Yeah, and that's what I was worried about. Oh, here we go. Oh, he's racing him hard. And Lewis has all the incentive to not let him by in the world, and Tim has all the incentive to get by him. So let's see how this goes. I'm bored with Lewis Wedding. Does
he leave some gap at the inside? He does, just a little bit. Over and under treatment. Is it coming? Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is by the looks of things.
He's got an overlap. Is he going to fire it into turn 1?
He hangs on to it. He's going to make Redmond earn this one here. And is he
right on the curve as well?
And they're going to run side by side up through 2, up through 3, and they're going to run up to turn 4 as well.
That's brave. Is it going to be settled yet? I don't think so.
It's settled now.
And it's settled in favour of Redmond.
Fantastic racing between the two of them. Gave great space all the way up to turn 5. Eventually it was settled in favour of Redmond, but he's wide. He's left the door open the same way Wedding did for him. And Wedding, great.
Probably another blow-up.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's going to be another blow-up. That's a little bit overcommitted, but he did manage to hang on to it and keep it facing the right direction. But the battle goes on for the better part of a lap, and Redmond will continue on and try and march his way up to the back of Cheese and Turmo for
Lewis Wedding's around.
He is around, and about to say there's Pete Savage dropped out of this race as well. I'm wondering if he's had some dramas too, but
it seems like he's dropped down into 7th. Whatever reason, he's fallen off.
I'm wondering if that's
the order.
I'm wondering if that's a timing glitch or something's going on there. What's happened there to Pete Savage? So he's he hasn't stopped again for a second time. We're just seeing him on the other side of the screen. We're having a little bit of a look just to see what's happened, and yeah, he's had a really poor last sector of that last lap, so I don't quite know what's happened there, but he's come out in 7th place, so I don't know if that's a game glitch or if that's he's been down pit road or had a spin or something going on there, but that's a very, very bizarre set of circumstances for Pete Savage. In any case, it's put him down to 7th place on the road.
New fastest lap of the race for Stenberg, 54.387.
Now, there's even some more weird stuff going on here, Hans, as well, because Stenberg has gone down to 3rd, so I'm wondering whether or not maybe he did have to come in and stop again. Maybe he was a little bit short. So the live timing is probably going to be the one that tells us this, so we'll go and have a look at the live timing. If you're following along, guys, it's asrleague.liveraces.com, and yes, indeed, he has been through pit lane. So he came in on lap 33, and that does hand the race lead back to Luke Rosella. So Stenberg got it all to do here. 2nd place man, there he is, Brenton Foley, up to 2nd place. And then Luke Rosella has got, I guess we call it Pagan's Paddock, to Brenton Foley at the moment. So this should be, touch wood, the last 5 laps to go, a comfortable run for Rosella as long as he can negotiate the traffic safely.
Pagan's Paddock, isn't that a throwback? Wayne Carey, one of the great centre-half forwards of Australian football. But probably a little bit left field of this conversation right now. But Luke Rosella, with about 5 laps to go, can he get the first race victory for Ford Mustang in ASR competition?
It'll also be a good championship points boost as well if he stands where it is. He will take over the championship lead because the 150 points you get for the win will be a good haul over the second place points you get of 138. And that will take it over. That's as it stands right now, because this man, Kurt Stenberg, in third place, is going to get a couple of points less, but he is setting fastest lap after fastest lap. He's done that 2 laps on the trot now, down to a 54.3. So he'll be on very, very little fuel. He'll be on the soft tyre, and he's going to be blazing along and chasing after Brenton Foley. So Foley definitely going to be on a much older tyre, and you see Stenberg right out, just maximising every little bit of track as he pursues car 074. Foley's not going to make it easy for him, but the tyres on this car are definitely the better part of almost 20 laps old now, so going to be nursing this one home, just making sure he looks after that left-hand side, because you've got to get round these right-hand corners for another 4 laps.
Now, Stenberg's strategy here is just going to go and set out some absolute qualifying laps. And again, another fastest lap of the race for Stenberg. And this is fantastic. Absolutely scintillating pace from Stenny right now. And he's going to be all over Brenton Foley in a matter of a lap, I reckon. Maybe even less than that, because he has about 20 laps newer tyres. So he is definitely going to get past him at a rate of knots like you would not believe.
I reckon it'll be on at 7, Hans. If he gets close enough, it'll be on at turn 7, and he's got a really good run now. Look at this. So much speed.
He's going to go around the outside.
Nope, Foley can park it right down the middle of the road here, as he's entitled to do. Big defensive move from Foley, and will force Stenberg the long way round and make him run side by side, make him use all the outside here. Foley will leave him. Have it, Foley with a big swing. Oh, big moment. Big moment for Foley there. I did say he wasn't going to make it easy, but in the end, Stenny just too good.
It just shows that when you make, front left to right rear contact, it does sort of bounce the car off a little bit, and the car behind comes off worse for wear. But luckily, Foley's still pointing in the right direction. Will get his first podium of the season, barring any sort of calamity. But Stenberg now looking to cement his position on the podium. And Luke Rosella not too far ahead, and there's only a handful of laps to go. And he might actually get there in the end, because he's only 6 seconds behind. So potentially the race could still be on here, because Luke is very, very slow right now.
And on top of that, Luke is stuck in traffic as well, Hans. Here he is. He's got Peter Thrower. He's got Steve Warwick. He's cleared Darren Kemp. And behind him, Kemp is freakish. And then comes Stenberg. Stenberg's made a mistake. I think that might be it, Hans. He went wide at 1 and dropped at least a second or 2 of time. So pushing a little bit too hard. We'll capture this one on the Smith & Sons replay. I just saw it out of the corner of my eye just as it was happening. So it might be a bridge too far now for Kurt Stenberg, just pushing super hard, as you said, setting absolute heaters. And then he just cleared Brenton Foley, and then this happened. Snatched the rear, ran a little bit wide, and I think that probably will scupper any last-minute hope of a race victory. Great drive, though.
Yeah, you're spot on there, and if he managed to keep it together, he would have been within 3 seconds with only 3 laps to go, and considering his pace, he probably would have got to the back of Rosella in a handful of laps' time. But Rosella, a long time coming for his next race victory, and also for the first race victory for Ford Mustang in ASR competition. And what a long time between drinks as well. It's been since the Hamilton round, I believe, his last championship win. Yeah, last year. So it's sort of almost this time last year. It was very close. I think it was July or August last year was when the win came, and he did it at the wheel of a Volvo as the All-Australian Races team. Made the move to Synergy Sim Racing this year to be opposite Scott Nolan, and it finally is about to pay dividends. Luke Rosella, car 55, is going to take the opening race victory here tonight for Ford Mustang and Synergy Sim Racing. He gets the job done in 39 3/4 minutes. Kurt Stenberg
Great drive from rear of grid to second place overall. And Brenton Foley, welcome back to the podium for Brenton Foley. Been a long time between drinks for him.
And we were saying at the outset of this race that a podium for Foley is probably as good as he could get, and he definitely achieved that tonight, so well done.
Recovery effort. Tim Redmond back to where he started after all of that. So fourth place finish for Redmond, although with a question mark over his head for the contact with Will Devonish. So we'll let that one be looked at a bit later on. Termo up to fifth, so that's a good result for him, backing up his great Super 2 performance last week. Cheese, the second of the Kiwis home, sixth place, again justifying his great pace in Super 2 as well. Thoroughly earned that one. Peter Savage, we got word that was a game glitch that put him out of commission, so down to seventh place for him. Cam Rutledge, a result to be proud of for him, again keeping his nose clean, eighth place overall. Lewis Wedding home in ninth, so he faded a little bit late in that one. And then Lai Mitch was the best of the AAR Mustangs, getting home in 10th place. So a couple of drivers that just missed out on the top 10 as well. Darren Kemp was the best of the wildcards. There he is in the garage there. He finished in 11th place, and Steve Warwick in 12th. So those guys weren't too far away at the end of the day. Freakish and Braxton Stancliffe, the other two Kiwis that came next, 13th and 14th. So it's a good, solid start for Braxton Stancliffe. He finished a lap down. Those guys from 11th on were a lap down. Will Devonish recovered to 17th after all of that one, Hans. So salvaged some points through some of the other drivers going a lap down, but my oh my, that is a disaster. He's had a couple of those already this year, and they're starting to rack up for Will Devonish. His championship is fast slipping away.
Well, we say it at the outset of any championship year that you have to minimise your bad days like this, and unfortunately they just keep continuing for Will Devonish. And Devonish probably not indicative of his pace, but more indicative of maybe he's run over like 10 black cats or something, because honestly his luck has been absolutely torrid this season in the first 5 rounds. So hopefully he can turn that around later this season. Maybe a bit better strategy planning as well, because it seems that when there's a plan A that goes out the window at CRE, that's it. There is no plan B. So they need to really work on that, and just shows how it shows with Stenny tonight even that he got spun when he came into the pits and managed to snag a good podium result out of it.
Yeah, sure did. We're just waiting for some of the drivers to pop in and have a chat for the podium presentations, and we've got one of them here at the minute. We're just waiting on some of the other drivers to make their way. Excuse me. They're starting to make their way up to pay us a visit, and we've got the first man here, and this has been a long time between drinks for this man, Hans. Let's start with our third place man in Brenton Foley.
Welcome back, Brenton Foley. Long time since we've seen you up here on the winners rostrum, and good to see you get a podium tonight. Probably the best you could do tonight, but nonetheless a very good performance. Well done.
Yeah, overall I'm really wrapped getting a podium. To be honest, I reckon I absolutely burnt myself out with sim racing towards the end of last year, doing too many series, and I've made it known that this year I'm kind of taking a bit, not so much a step back, but I'm doing far less practice and just kind of enjoying it a bit more rather than taking it super seriously. But it's really nice to know I can still get on the podium.
Also nice to know that another happy hunting ground for you, because you did get I think it was one of your race wins last year, which you got here. So obviously Barbagallo seems to gel quite well with you and your setups.
Yeah, it's been really good. Our PBF base setup here has been awesome, and had a lot of help with Rossi, and now our long lost other teammate D2 has came in earlier today and gave me a bit of a hand setting up the rear, which absolutely hooked up and saved the tyres. So massive thanks to both of them for helping out with the setup.
Well, Brenton, like I said, hopefully we can see you back here more often. And again, congratulations on your third place. Well done.
Fingers crossed. Thanks very much.
Second place tonight went to Kurt Stenberg. And Steve, you're down with Kurt Stenberg on the winners rostrum.
I am with Kurt Stenberg. Kurt, we were a bit mystified about the starting from the rear of grid. We heard about what the penalty was, but I guess we'll leave that one alone for the moment. But there's only been a handful of drivers that have managed to drive their way from the rear of the grid to win the race, and you came very, very close to joining that elite club, but it just went away at the last few laps of that race.
Yeah, well, when you make your whole strategy throughout the week on a one-stop strategy, and then you have to change it on the go because you have to make time to pass people because you've got tyres that are wearing, because they're going to wear when you pass people. You can't be as conservative, so you changed your strategy on the run and knew it wasn't going to work, so we just had to throw everything at it, and we didn't quite get there, but awesome drive to Luke to make the tyres last.
Absolutely, and well, on top of you as well, I mean, you drove the wheels off that thing toward the end. You weren't giving up, and we know that the pit stop that you had to take wasn't forced upon you by your own doing. You actually got turned at that last corner and took advantage of the ruling that's in there to get it done, but yeah, tyre wear, of course, on the left-hand side, very, very difficult to manage, and if it wasn't for that little incident, I'd definitely say you would have been right up there. And you definitely had the pace when you passed Luke early to drive away from him. But as you said, strategy call, just forced upon you, and you've got to live with those decisions sometimes. But second place, nothing to be frowned upon, still well and truly within the title hunt.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And some of our rivals had some shockers, which is what was good to see for me. And yeah, but our tyre life, I feel, is actually really strong in that race over the stint, and obviously we've got pace as well, which is the one thing I was worried about tonight, is actually having outright pace. So that means this next one we can go out and we can fight, and we've already put it on a board what we can do. So I hope that's a warning call to everybody out there for this one.
I certainly think it will be, mate. Go out there and get the job done in race 2 in a few minutes' time. Best of luck.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Hans, off to the man who finished in first place and finally gets the much-awaited win for a Ford Mustang.
Luke Rosella moved to SSR, moved to Ford Mustang, and now a race winner. Fantastic, mate. Well done.
Thank you, Hans. Yeah, I'm completely overjoyed with this. Finally a race win this year. It's been a long time coming, but as I said to one of you guys before the broadcast, something just clicked after Queensland, and yeah, just unbelievable. I can't believe it.
So what's the plan now? You're going to go out and do some Bertrand Gachot antics, or what are you going to get up to, Luke? Tell me what goes on in the inner sanctum of Luke Rosella.
Probably have a few drinks. Yeah, definitely not a quiet one after this result, and yeah, get a bit tipsy. No.
Still another race to go, mate. Don't get too excited.
No. Yeah, the strategy just worked in our hands, really. Yeah, with Devonish, and so of course Kurt started from the back, so he was already on the back foot to begin with, and saw Will got up with Tim Redmond. So all we had to do is make the tyres last, and it worked out for us. But I mean, race 2, we're going to actually have a bit of pressure now because Kurt's not going to start from back there, and he was only 4 seconds away from us on the different strategies. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, of course, with Will, if he can keep it on the track and put the pressure on us as well. It's going to be interesting.
Again, well done, mate. Fantastic win, and yeah, hopefully you get some good result in the second race tonight, mate. But yeah, keep pressing on. Have a good one, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Here we go, your podium sitters for the opening race tonight. Race 9 of the championship. Luke Rosella first, Kurt Stenberg second, and the man in third place, Brenton Foley. So a very mixed up result, that one. Plenty of drivers, Hans, had their fair share of dramas, and I think some of them have got a little bit of soul searching to do before race 2, and qualifying for race 2 gets underway in a few moments.
I think they can't focus too much on soul-searching when they've got to get on with the job. Qualifying is upon us for race 2. But hopefully we can see a similar performance from the top 20 cars within a second, and we can repeat that in the second qualifying session. Would be good to see.
It will be good to see. Most of the guys are coming back and getting a bit of practice in. We're going to take a short break, and on the other side of this, we'll be back with qualifying session number 2. Don't go anywhere. ASR's Supercars Championship in 2021 is proudly brought to you by Smith & Sons Renovations and Extensions. Smith & Sons, Design, Plan, Construct. Cam Rutledge Electrical. And Matt Harvey Repair and Tune. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching the 5th round of the ASR Supercars Championship for Smith & Sons Renovations and Extensions here on the Outworld Broadcasting Channel. And Hans, we're about to go into qualifying session number 2, and a number of drivers already expressing their concerns and their dismay and their joy and every emotion conceivable through the live chat and also through the Discord chat as well. There's plenty of guys that are happy and plenty of guys that are not happy as well.
Yeah, that's it. And it seems to be one of those tracks, Barbagallo, because it seems to go really one way or the other for you. And for some of the guys, it works quite well. And for some, the luck has been quite bad. And Will Devonish is probably one of those. So hopefully we can see a bit better performances tonight. I mean, when I say tonight, I mean in race 2. But obviously we've got qualifying to go. But qualifying doesn't really mean much when you get to the race and you're nowhere. So hopefully we see top 20 cars within a second again. That's always fantastic when we come to the shorter tracks. And when we get to the race, hopefully we got a few cars, maybe 5 or 6, like in race 1, that could win the race.
Yeah, well, we pray so. We knew that there was going to be at least 5 or 6 cars that could possibly win the race depending on how things go. And in this case, it was the man who was on the front row of the grid. So it was not the man who was on pole. It was the man who was in second place that took the chocolates at the end of the day. But even he, by his own admission, I think, will probably thinking about what he's got to do to keep Stenny behind if he wants a repeat in the second race. He actually leads the championship, not by very, very much, but he does lead the championship after tonight's opening race, Luke Rosella. So there's plenty of upside for him for that one, and a lot to look forward to. So even if he finishes second to Stenberg in the next race, they're going to go into the next round of Hidden Valley with the same margin that they were separated with at the beginning of the night, still in Stenny's favour. It would still be 9 points. So it's nothing to be frowned upon. But Hans, as we said earlier, this championship is very fast becoming one of the closest championships we've had for some years.
Yeah, absolutely. It just shows the quality of the guys at the top, that they're able to mix it up with each other week in, week out. And it just shows that, I mean, it's funny because this is a really ultra competitive championship, but it's not like it's, you know, you got 20 blokes that rock up in minis and, you know, we're all just having a good time. This is dead set real life stuff here. So it's pretty impressive that they're all able to be matched by such minute margins when having an absolute real crack at it. So pretty impressive.
Well, let's see if we can get a repeat here in qualifying 1 relative to what we did in qualifying 2 relative to what we did in qualifying 1 a little bit earlier on this evening. We said the top 20 cars separated by 1 second, and then 2 cars that were just outside the 1 second bracket by about a tenth. So the margins are tight. The field is very competitive. The level of competitiveness year on year just goes up and up and up. And I don't know, where's the ceiling, Hans? I don't even think there is a ceiling for how competitive this championship is getting.
Well, it depends. I think there's a few more guys who are competitive yet that they'll come into the series, and once we see that, it will just drive it to new heights. It'll be pretty fantastic. On board with Kurt Stenberg now on the TTR Commodore, number 1. And bowls it way wide on the corner, but he seems to make that wide line work, and I think he's one of the few guys that's able to make it happen, especially up here at turn 4. This is where he really gets it out wide, so you see goes all the way out there and then manages to bring the nose back in, makes the car turn back on itself quite well. Turn 5 now and into cold corner, turn 6.
Down the hill through the long loaded right hand, just loading up the left hand side tyres. I mean, in qualifying session you can abuse it, a little bit of lap traffic, but that's okay. That's that's the Hype Sim Sport car of Lockie Burke, and very, very safely through. Qualifying, probably the most treacherous time for all the drivers on such a short track, and Stenberg will come down and stop the clock at a 54.473. Good, solid opening benchmark for Kurt Stenberg as all the field starts to file through and set their laps. Will Devonish 0.007 behind after the opening salvos fired.
Yeah, only a minute margin away, 7,000ths of a second away. That's pretty impressive on a first lap out for Stenberg and Devonish. Now here's Luke Rosella. Can he beat the best time, opening lap time?
He was up to a tenth and a half ahead at the Sector 2 split, and he does go to pole. Goes to pole at the moment provisionally with a 54.176. But Stenberg behind was responding, and so too was Will Devonish. So Stenberg was up on his own PB, not up on the pole time, but Devonish is flying behind at the moment. There he is. So Stenberg improves, doesn't go pole. Devonish will improve and goes to the top. 53.950. He's gone under the 54s again.
Excellent lap time there from Devonish. Just shows that his 1 lap pace is pretty good. He just needs to work on his race starts and his race pace as well. But yeah, it just shows that he is a bit of a qualifying specialist. And even at on the enemy home turf, it seems he's able to bring out some really good lap times.
And going faster again at the Sector 1 split, not by very much. But this has been the story this year, hasn't it, Hans? CRE have owned the pole positions in qualifying. They've had 6 of the 8 coming into tonight, make that 7 out of 9 and shooting for 8 out of 10. But the wins are eluding them. That's the sole biggest problem. Their 1 lap pace is absolutely blistering, but their race pace is all over the place.
Yeah, I think they are a bit susceptible to things going wrong quite quickly, because if it doesn't go perfect for them, it basically just goes really, really badly for them. So I think they just need to work on maybe a bit more of a conservative strategy and perhaps not fly too close to the edge, as it were. But here's Tim Redmond on screen, and he stays in 4th right now, just a whisker off his personal best time.
Up in the same position he qualified in for race 1 at the moment, Tim Redmond. The man filling the shoes of his teammate, Scott Stancliffe tonight, is Braxton Stancliffe, and at the moment currently 14th, which is where he was in race 1, where he finished race 1 as well. So good solid bank of points and a big solid learning experience for this young fella. He is the youngest driver in the ASR fold at just 13 years of age. So keep an eye out for this guy. He keeps getting better and better every time we see him, and is right in the thick of it. He was actually the youngest driver to lead one of the ASR championships at one point. He actually was the championship leader in Super 2 after the first round at Symmons Plains. So he has that feather in his cap as well, and his results have been pretty solid. Put in really good performances at Queensland and in the Super 2 race last week, but just struggling a little bit with the transition to main game, but just managed to keep it pointing in the right direction there, just as evidenced by little moment he's just had coming
Struggling
over
with
the
the
hill.
transition to main game and also struggling on the left to right transition there. So
Yes,
the struggles all around, but he's kept himself out of trouble mostly.
he has indeed, keeping himself as close to being out of trouble, I guess, as you can call it. And he's going to
While
press
being right sideways, of course.
apart from being right sideways, precisely. Back a bit further, Brent Foley, podium sitter in that last race. He's down in 10th place at the moment and looking to get back into, I think he was on the top couple of rows at the beginning of race number 1. There's actually a few drivers that have advanced their way up the order a lot further than what they did for qualifying 1. Lime Mitch is one of those. He's just exited the pits and letting a few other drivers go past. He's up into 5th, so probably one of his better qualifying performances. There he is, just lets Darren Kemp and Kurt Stenberg and Will Devonish through very, very nicely. And
Feels like it's been a fair while since we've seen Lime Mitch race in Supercars. It's good to see him back.
remember, he owned the one-lap pace in Super 2 last year. He was dominant. He was winning the pole positions, not by, a tenth or two. In some cases, he was dominating by up to 5 and 6 tenths on the one-lap pace, because it was truly a one-lap dash last year in Super 2. It was, you go out, you do your lap, and that's it, you're done. And he just seemed to be able to get it done better than anybody in that sort of format. It's a bit of a different format this time compared to what he's used to in the main game, but maybe something's just clicked. I'm not sure, but give him benefit of the doubt. But he's nearly 6/10 of a second off pole. But even a small improvement here from Lime Mitch has just gone down to 6th because his teammate, his rival in Termo has just gone up to 5th. But even a small improvement here from Mitch, I think he'll take.
Yeah, spot on, and it's good to see him back because, like I said, one of the protagonists in the 2020 Super 2 series, along with Steve Burko.
Oh, and he's lost that one. The same sort of transition issue that he had that we saw for Braxton Stancliffe coming up and over the top. And let's not forget too, Lime Mitch and Luke Brozella, last year's Bathurst 500 winners as well. So one of the more interesting pairings that was in the 500, and it came good for them.
Yeah, it worked out just fine. I think at early stages we were wondering a little bit, is this going to work, guys? Is this Luke? Are you sure you know what you're doing? But no, he proved himself to be a very, very good co-driver and was able to bring out the goods on the day. He kept the car in one piece, and that's the most important thing a co-driver can do. Here's Termo now on screen.
Oh, big moment, and around he goes at turn 1. So
those rear tyres look terminated right now.
They do, and that almost might be his session done. He needs to get out, back into pits and get out very, very quickly to have another shot at a lap time. Now, Luke Rosella's gone to the top of the timesheets. We have missed this lap. He's done a 53.915, so new qualifying lap record, and he has demoted Devonish down to P2. So look at the margins there, 0.035 between the men on the front row of the grid, and then a tenth and a little bit from Rosella to Stenberg. So there's not a lot in this at the moment. Tim Redmond, I think, might be the driver under threat here if Termo can find a 10th or Lime Mitch finds a little bit of time. But Termo doesn't look like he's going out again. Looks like he's quite happy to stay in 5th place and just see how this plays out.
So we're just watching with bated breath here if Luke Rosella can lower the benchmark once more.
He's up.
And it's going good at the moment, so can he get it through the final sector? Just one corner to go. Turn 7.
Is Warwick going to give him a tow? No. Warwick had a spin right at the critical moment. Did Rosella keep his foot in it and improve? He did! He improved. He found time. He's gone to a 53.8, and that would have been one hell of a moment. Let's have a look at that on the Smith & Sons replay, because that was a very, very wild moment for Luke Rosella. Let's go on board and have a look at this. The spin from Steve Warwick ahead. Have a listen to the engine as he comes around this corner.
Here we go, boys. Steve Warwick's going to spin, and I'm going to keep the throttle pinned here. Let's have a real go. And that's what you had to be. You had to commit yourself to that. And it was a matter of put it on pole or bin it, really. And it could have gone anyway. There was a good chance that Steve could have rolled back into the path of Luke Rosella. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Fortunately, I should say.
Fortunately,
that didn't
yes.
happen. Luke was able to bring out a very, very good lap time.
To quote Rex Hunt, one of my favourite all-time commentators, my goodness gracious me, what a lap time that is, and what a way to do it, I guess, as well, just to, as he said, pin the ears back, great situational awareness, just, as they, like a cold trickle moment, almost in Days of Thunder, just, go high, I know it in my heart.
Smoke.
Yep, that's it, and that's exactly what he did. Stenberg finishes his last lap and goes to position 3, so no improvement there. Tim Redmond in 4th, Termo 5th, NZ Snipes. That's a good result and good recovery from NZ Snipes. He was languishing and had a dropout in race 1, so into 6th place for him. Mitch eventually ended up 7th. Cheese, another good solid qualifying result for Cheese in 8th place. Steve Burko, 9th place for him. He started 7th in race 1. And then another good qualifying result for Freakish. So the Kiwis coming to play yet again and really starting to put some good results together at a track that I think that, I don't know, maybe they just gel with. This is just, it's something that I can't put my finger on just yet, Hans, but they've really gelled well at this track.
They've got a hyperdock. That's what it is. They've got a setup that is actually descended from the gods. I think it was carved out of the a raw stone by Zeus himself on Mount Olympus. So I think they know what they're doing, and it just shows that. I mean, it's not really the setup. It's able to being able to flow the car, because for most of the first sector, you need to be able to flow the car, and then the second sector, you just need to dive the car into turn 6 and then get on the throttle early and try and lengthen that straight as much as you can, and then manage to keep it all together at turn 7 and don't throw it off the road, and then you've got your lap time. So, clearly they've got a very good rhythm around here, the Kiwis, and a few other guys here as well. But it's one of these tracks that you do have to have a good rhythm.
Absolutely. Just getting some word through too. Pete Savage dropped out of the game, and I think he has had a few of those dramas with his game freezing. We got word that it was a game glitch of some nature that took him out of the position he was in race 1, and he's trying to get back in, so hopefully he will, and with a bit of luck, if he does, he's going to be starting off the rear of grid, so he's going to have to do a Kurt Stenberg in this one. But while we wait to see what unfolds there, Hans, the big one that we're starting to look forward to is this year's retro round. So unlike previous years where retro round has taken place at Sandown, this year it's taking place at Calder Park, and there's already a good slew of liveries coming in. So we've got a little sneak preview here of some of the liveries that are coming up. So see if you can guess these ones. We've got the ones to reveal as we go along. So first and foremost, we've got the CRE Motorsport retro liveries. Now, these guys have put in no effort whatsoever. They've just gone along and picked liveries that they like. So a couple of Autobahn's Lounge liveries car, a 0 out of 10. There's a Wins car there and a Sprint Gas one. Here's the Synergy Sim racing cars, which look absolutely fantastic. And we've got the examples of these ones coming up. So Nolan on the left. You've got Rosella's car on the right. So Scott Nolan's car based on the AU Mitre 10 Falcon and Mark Larkham from the early 2000s. Geez, that's going back a long way. And then the next one is the Moffat Motorsport EL Falcon. There you can see it there, the Synovus Vitamins car. And Luke Rosell is going to run a special number 9 for that round. So that's a really good job, guys. Well done with those. Kurt Stenberg's going back to his iRacing days. So that's what it was in iRacing for him with the Dayco sponsorship on the VF Commodore. And he's converted that over to the ZB and gone with a little bit of a retro colour sort of scheme. Not so much the sponsors, but the colour scheme. So that's quite a nice job. And then we get to the last one, which I think is absolutely stellar. So you can see the Colin and Steve Warwick cars. So Steve Warwick with the Bill Patterson A9X Tirana lookalike livery there in the middle. And then Col Warwick on the left there on this shot, car number 63. Now, this car is also based on an A9X Tirana, and it's the one that's about to come onto your screen now. This is the car driven by Jansen and Larry Perkins in the Bathurst race, the very famous Bathurst race, Hans. Do you remember which one?
It was 81, wasn't it?
No. It wasn't 81. It was the one that Peter Brock famously won by 6 laps. So that
79.
And yes, that in 79, and that was the car that finished second, 6 laps behind the winner.
Well, we should make note also that Peter Jansen, very, very clever man and very, very ahead of his time in terms of sponsorship activation. Now, in those days, Confederation of Australian Motorsport rule was that your surname had to be on the windshield banner. And he changed his name by deed poll for, I believe it was 1 week or 1 year or something. I don't know. But he changed his name by deed poll to NGK Jansen, so he can display NGK on the windscreen banner and give some sponsorship activation to NGK spark plugs.
Wow.
So that just shows how astute the man was. And very, very famous in the motor racing fraternity in Australia.
He definitely was. That's
a real character he was.
He definitely was a real character. And I do apologise to Termo as well. Just got some word through that he did make the wins in the Sprint Gas logo cars for the CRE guys. So that he's done a bit of work there. But the Autobahns Lowndes ones, I think they were just taken from the pack. So that's a little bit different. So apologies, Termo.
The wins and Sprint Cast ones are very good, but the Lowndes ones, the Autobahn ones, terrible. 0 out of 10. I still rate it 0 out of 10. No good.
There you go. Which one was your favourite out of those retro liveries? I think personally for me, it's got to be the Synovus Vitamins car for me. I think that's probably a very, very smart looking car, and it's basically taken the same livery, applied it to a completely different Ford, but it's got the Synergy Sim Racing logos and stuff on there, and I think that's probably the best one so far for me. I know there's still quite a few to come, but for me, that's at the top of the pile right now.
I really rate the Mitre 10 car. I think that looks fantastic, and in the Smith & Sons garb, and even in number 18, it looks quite good. So maybe I'm a bit nostalgic for that era of V8 supercar racing. Obviously 2000, a very, very good year for liveries, I thought. And obviously a shame that the AU couldn't get up, but anything AU we love now.
Definitely we do love. Now I've just got a little bit of a replay here. We're going to go and take a look at an unusual thing that's just happened in practice with Nathan Higginson. I saw him sliding backwards down a wall. I don't know what he's done here. Oh, here we go. Locks it up into turn 1.
Here we go, over Drivers Anonymous.
Over Drivers Anonymous, and off up the hill, and backwards. Now, there is a wall down here that's been put in deliberately. He's gone through the tyre barrier, and he's clouted that. Oh, he's actually gone past the wall. So
Okay.
there is a wall that has been placed there deliberately this year for drivers, if they do accidentally go off at that part of the circuit, that it will keep them on the right side of the track so they don't get stung with a track limits infringement or losing a lap. So Lewis Wedding's done a really good job of putting that wall in, but Nathan Higginson has just made Lewis's Wedding work look second rate after that, because he's just gone completely either around the wall or over the wall. It's like the
Or on top of the wall, maybe.
or on top of the wall. It's like the Great Bear Hunt. It's, there's a book
We
my
can't
daughter's
go
got over it.
We
We can't go under it. We've got to go through it. So there you go.
Yeah, I was bear hunting last week in the Super 2 round because I ended up probably 5 times or more through that fence. So I did the same thing that Higo did and spun round and went backwards through that fence. So no fun, I can assure you.
No, definitely not. I think I found it once or twice during practice as well. If you guys were a bit shocked to see me turn up and do a once-off appearance in Super 2, it had been a little while, but...
And hashtag not last as well.
Yeah, correct, hashtag
As
not
Josh
last.
Watson would say, the Kiwi. He's probably watching along in the chat. Hello, Josh.
He is indeed
Hashtag
watching
not
along.
last.
Yep, he is indeed watching along in the live chat, and he's one in the Super 2 field that's slowly starting to find a little bit of form, get a little bit better each and every week, but going to take a little bit of time to catch up sometimes to some of the much faster guys in the field. All right, now we've got all the cars have gone back to the pit garage here. We're just waiting to see whether or not Pete Savage is going to be able to take this race start. I'm not quite sure just yet.
Before we move on to this, the second race of the evening, I should give my score for the Mitre 10 livery. I rate it Mitre 10 out of 10. If anyone remembers the old advertising phrase there, they had the old slogan, Mitre 10 out of 10. So that is my rating of that livery. Very, very good job.
It certainly is one of those best liveries. I'm seeing a couple that have been put in by... what is it? They've been put in as examples that are not too far away from being finished. I think Nathan Higginson's livery is the next one that has been, so it gets mooted or touted as being ready for release soon, and we go from there. And I've been told the Kiwis are working on a little something as well. And I actually said to Tim Redmond, "Are you working on a super black livery?" And he's turned around and said, "No, not working on super black livery, but we are going to hopefully see something from the Kiwis in the next couple of weeks." He's like, "Oh, I'll have it to you next week." I'm like, "Mate, you've still got 5 weeks. Don't stress."
When he says next week, it could be 5 weeks' time. We don't know. We don't know how punctual he is, but obviously, even if he says next week, if he says tomorrow and he gets it in 5 weeks, it doesn't matter. But no, in 5 weeks, we wait for Retro Round at Calder Park. It's going to be a great, great event. And everyone seems to be dressed up in bells, so it's going to be good.
Now, the one thing that I'm looking forward to seeing in the Retro Round liveries this year, Hans, is a little bit of what we saw last year. I know there are a few drivers that took some liveries from years gone past and put them onto different manufacturers' cars. So I think Lewis Wedding and Brendan Ross went and took the HSV dealer team liveries from a couple of years in the early 2000s. Rossi put his on a Holden, that's fine. Lewis put his on a Ford.
Yeah, that's a little bit humorous, isn't it? And he replaced all the Holden logos with Wish and Minnow. So that was quite smart as well, I thought. But I guess you got to be able to. I mean, you could just put any livery on any car you want. I mean, who abides by rules like that? You know what I mean? But it's funny because Lewis, I call him. Well, I can't really say what I call him, but he's the livery guy that's very strict on rules and stuff. But the funny thing is, he decided to bend his own rules on livery. So, I mean, someone could run a Martini livery or a Repsol livery or a Red Bull livery or a Bastos livery or something like that. And obviously, or a Gulf livery even, and it'll drive Lewis insane. So please, if you are watching this and you want to enter Retro Round, please run one of those aforementioned liveries, Gulf, Bastos, Repsol, Red Bull, or Martini, and please run it in the Supercars category so we can see Lewis absolutely crack it with great.
Oh, it's always good to stir somebody up, isn't it? Look, I don't really want to stir Lewis up because he does a super amount of work to get all these things up and running for us each and every week. He's probably one of the ones that's I guess we call him the mod god a little bit for getting all the track stuff done. And so on and so forth. He's put in an absolute blood, sweat and tears amount of effort to get it, but he's already been punted enough, I think, this year to be worried about, being upset. So please, guys, just don't upset don't poke the bear, I think is probably the right
terminology. Please don't fire Lewis off because he gets a good performance and then someone will always fire him off. And as one of his team bosses in another series, please, I don't want to deal with it again. I hear way too many of his bluffs. But the thing is, no, whenever he gets a good performance, it always seems like he will always get shafted. And this is what does my head in, because the thing is, he does everything around here and people don't have the decency to not fire him off. It's pretty unbelievable. But no, I guess we shouldn't stop people from racing. But obviously, a bit of decorum would be nice. Don't just blatantly fire someone off when they're in front of you.
No, spot on. It looks like we are going to be waiting for Pete Savage. It looks like he was only about 2 minutes away. So there is usually a couple of restarts up our sleeves each and every night, just to if anything happens for whatever reason. We do have we are playing with a game after all. So there are some times where things are inevitable and we can't avoid them, but. We try and do our best to make sure all the drivers can get in and do some laps. And I think for Pete Savage, most importantly, he wants to try and start his way from the back of the grid, I think, and try and mimic what Kurt Stenberg did in race number 1. But we'll hopefully see what he can do. Actually, just coming back to a point that you just made about Repsol liveries and D2 in the live chat said Repsol Focus for the win. There have been a couple of Repsol liveries that have made appearances in ASR over the course of time, and D2 himself is no stranger to that. The Repsol Ford
Lewis
Focus,
himself, in fact.
the Repsol Ford Focus that took the title in the very last of our TCR series last year, which broke the stranglehold of Brenton Foley's 4 TCR or TCC season titles in a row, and then Lewis Wedding at the Bathurst 300 race that we ran in 2019, the Ford FGX Falcon that he drove to what was, I think, second place, Hans, if memory serves me correctly.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, second place. I remember that.
And it was actually quite a good looking livery too. I've seen that livery, you see that livery on bikes like the Honda Racing Team MotoGP bikes, and you sort of look at that and go, you know what, that actually suits the thing well. But then you see it sort of on the car, and it was like, wow, this is actually really, really good.
Yeah, I think Repsol will definitely be pouring in some money towards Loose Sim Sports endeavours for the next season. But yeah, that's late breaking news here with Hans Brunswick. Repsol to be the official lubricant supplier of Loose Sim Sport Facts.
All right, just getting a little bit of word here. It looks like Pete Savage may miss this one, so just waiting on.
Away from pretend news, onto real news now. Pete Savage won't make this race.
Yep. Okay, so that is it.
Pretty sad because his performances have been very good since he got the new equipment. So commiserations extended to Pete Savage.
Sadly, it is. It looks like Savage is going to miss this one. So the man who currently lies fifth in the points is going to drop a few points tonight. And who was behind him in the championship, Hans? So actually, let's have a look at the driver's standings very, very quickly before we go and have a look at this race. So there he was. He was fifth in the title race. So he was probably insulated a little bit from Termo, but Termo did have a very strong result in race 1. So I'd say Savage might be safe in fifth, depending on how things play out in this one. But sadly for him, it's going to be no points in race number 2. And unfortunately, he's going to be watching from the sidelines for this one. So I think he's going to be trying to cheer on the CRE boys. There they are. So Will Devonish on the front row on the left-hand side there of your screen. And Termo a couple of rows further back. And then Cam Rutledge buried a bit further back in the field. So they've got a little bit of work to do to try and salvage some pride tonight, I think, the CRE boys.
Yeah, it hasn't been a perfect night for CRE so far, but it has been a good night for Luke Rosella so far. Pole and new track record with a 53.8. Very, very stellar lap time. And Will Devonish again on the front row, but this time it's a reverse. It's him in second and Luke Rosella in first. Kurt Stenberg up there in third, and hopefully he'll be able to give it a good shake from third. Tim Redmond in fourth, same as race 1. Termo in fifth. And I'm lucky that was correct. Thermo in fifth. And it's up there in sixth, so he's gained 6 spots since his last qualifying session. Lyle Mitch in seventh, followed by Cheese in eighth, who is again flying the flag for the Super 2 guys. Steve Burko in ninth, and Freakish in 10th, also doing a solid job. Brenton Foley in 11th, and Lewis Wedding in 12th. Hopefully Lewis Wedding can keep out of trouble. Orjit Mishra, second of the AAR cars in 13th. 14th is Brendan Ross. And a bit of a change from race 1. Unfortunately, dropped down the order. Steve Warwick in 15th. Darren Kemp in 16th. Braxton Stancliffe standing in for Scott Stancliffe in 17th. Cam Rutledge starts from 18th. And Noah Tara in the guest car starts from 19th. 20th is Taipan, another one of the Super 2 runners who had a good performance here last week. Peter Thrower, followed by Lockie Burke, Nathan Higginson, Ben Hall, and Rhodey will be the last car starting on the grid. 25th place, 25 cars on the grid, Steve.
25 cars indeed on the grid. Last man coming into place now. There's Rhodey, just taking his grid spot at the back. Might stay at the back here because we'll get a very good view of the lights as they come on. You can see them on the tree there on the right hand side of your screen, and just a few moments away from a race start. Just waiting for somebody. Looks like they're out of position at the moment. Here we go. Everyone's set. Race 10, the halfway point of the 2021 ASR Supercars Championship. And we're underway. Great launch, Luke Rosella. Hooked it up beautifully and drives away from the field. Redmond boxing on in there as well. Goes through to P2 all but briefly. And Stenberg wraps right around the outside and snatches P2 away. But a great launch from car 55.
He was out and away before you could say crikey. And Luke Rosella already got a sizable gap on Kurt Stenberg, already a couple car lengths. But Stenberg has a lot of pace on board, and he said it is a warning shot to our rivals in the last race. So is he able to box on here? And he definitely could be able to go with the one-stop strategy, I reckon.
He very could possibly do it. He leads by a very, very small margin at the minute, Stenberg, and then back to Tim Redmond in third. Good start as well for NZ Snipes, up one spot to fifth, demotes Termo and keeps Termo at sixth. Lime Mitch has gone backwards one spot as well, and Will Devonish, who was on the front row, has lost 2 spots, so those poor starts are starting to stack up for Will Devonish along with the results that go along with it. And then we mentioned a few seconds ago, Termo down 1 spot. He's now the cork in the champagne bottle here. Got cheese crawling all over him. Lime Mitch is in there as well. Freakish had a good start. He's going to try and wrap around the outside of Steve Burko on the run up through turns 2, 3 and 4, and he's got the job done. So good early move from Freakish, boxing on with the seasoned campaigner in Burko. Oh, not for long though. Wide
not for long. He's just thrown it off the road.
And drops
that's
a couple.
really cooled his momentum there, and he's going to drop 2 spots. So gain 1 spot, then drop 2 spots straight away. So back down 1 spot from his starting position. It's still a solid job from Freakish so far.
Slots into P11, just 1 spot down from where he started, but right in the thick of it here. Mishra maybe line up and move on Brent Foley. That's a late lunge at turn 7 and didn't quite have the nose far enough alongside to make that one stick. A couple of cars running wide at the final corner, but that's all fine. Higginson's actually made up a couple of spots through the opening sequence. Now he started almost plumb last. He started 23rd. Here he is. He's managed to wrap around the outside of Brendan Ross, and the next man in the queue for him is the very difficult to pass Darren Kemp.
They call him the Kemp car, as seems to rhyme with Kemp car. Oh, Rossi's off!
Yeah, Rossi's exited stage right, and
that could have been a massive accident there.
it could have, and he has, we're just looking to pick him up. There he is, he's recovering. There's the curbside camera. Let's go and have a look at that one on the Smith & Sons replay, because that one definitely deserves a look. Tucked in there behind Nathan Higginson, and I think he did this one all on his own. So coming up through turn 5, and yep, got on the curb, and he gave the wall a whack too, so there might be a little bit of dramas with damage on that car, but he did really well to stop the car from coming back into the path of all the others that were trying to negotiate the same part of the racetrack.
That could have been even nastier than it was for Rossi. Could have been T-boned by another car. Here's Nathan Higginson, out at the moment, up 6 spots, I believe.
Yep, he is up 6 spots and still honing in on Darren Kemp at the moment. Now back to the front, this margin has gone, and Luke Rosella has really got to fight his hands down, and Will Devonish has also managed to slip past Tim Redmond on the last lap as well. So the race pace that we've seen that Devonish can have is starting to play out here. Now, it was down at this part of the track that he had the incident in the first race, thankfully a little bit further away from Redmond this time around, but I think Stenberg now knows he needs to get a wriggle on. He needs to get past the Mustang very, very quickly to make sure he can keep that strategy call that he wants to make it a one-stop strategy working this time around. It was him and Devonish that looked like they came to blows that forced that early strategy stop. He doesn't want to be caught in the same situation again.
Yeah, spot on, and funnily enough, it was similar to the incident last year where they came together at turn 7 as well. So it seems that history repeats itself once again, because there could be a bit of a plane crash that could happen right now, because there are 3 cars very close together and they're all barreling into turn 7. Here we go, bit of overlap there. Oh, it's a bit brave. Is it brave or is it stupid, Steve? I'm not sure.
I'm not 100% sure either, although I did leave the Phillip Island race meeting with Colin Smith's words ringing in my ears. There's There's dangerous driving, there's reckless driving, there's inattentive driving, and they needed to probably add stupid driving to the list of rules in the Motorsport Australia rule book, because it's not there, and there were a few stupid acts. But I don't think there's been any stupid acts tonight, but they're all just sizing each other up at the moment to try and work out where the best pass may be able to be executed. And for a moment there, it might have been at the bowl in turn 6, but I'm just trying to work out where Luke's stronger than Stenny and Stenny's stronger than Luke. I think from Stenberg's point of view, maybe the bowl is probably the better puff. And probably turn 6 and 7 in that order are probably the two preferred spots. I think Stenny might be ready to have a go.
Here we go, right on cue. Right on cue, turn 7, he's going to get a good run out of here, but can he fire it down in the inside into turn 1? And he gets forced to the outside, but I reckon Luke's probably put a mark on that tyre, and it's probably going to shake his steering wheel to bits and shake all the fillings out of his teeth. And whenever he brakes, it's going to find that flat spot on the tyre and lock up once again.
Yeah, it sure is, and he's really compromised at the moment. Had to take the defensive line immediately after the mistake at turn 7. He's going to have to take that defensive line again down here at 6 maybe. Turns it in early, so a very early turn in for Rosella, whereas it's a bit of a later, more gradual turn in for Stenny. So Stenny's not working the tyre as hard as Rosella is to try and hold position here, but now look at the back of the Commodore for Stenny. Here comes Will Devonish. He has a bit of a sneaky look at the inside. Big lock up on the front right for Stenberg, going into turn 7 there as well. But to his credit, Rosella has made a mistake.
Could have been Rosella again that was making the lock-up. Could have been Stenny just picking up the lock-up from Rosella's view. And here we go, side by side. It's always brave through there.
There was contact there. I'm almost positive there was contact there between Devonish and Rosella at 2. And they both had to check up. So Stenberg has got the job done that he needs to do. He's going to get away here and leave Rosella to hold up Devonish and Redmond for a little bit longer. So that has worked out well. I was about to say, I was thinking that Stenberg might have just opened the door for Devonish to follow him through at turn 1, but Rosella shut that door very, very quickly, and it almost sent 2 cars off the road.
We've seen what has happened in real life when 2 cars go side by side there. They never ever survive. But luckily these two were able to keep on going. Here we go, NZ Snipes on screen in front of Lime Mitch, up in 5th place now, and has clearly deposed of Turbo. Turbo seems to have fallen down the order a fair bit actually, so Turbo not going so well tonight, perhaps being terminated himself instead of doing the terminating. And Snipes is right on the back of this train.
He is indeed. Turmo, I'm just looking to see where he is. There's actually been he's actually right at the back of the queue. Here he is on queue, and 24th place. And Brendan Ross has had an early stop as well. So he actually just came out of the pits behind Turmo.
There's a padder that's obviously fallen down. There's a car in the fence. That looks like Ben Hall.
Yes, it is indeed Ben Hall. Just seeing on the other screen, it is the Team Harvey Norman car, so that's the yellow flag there. So Turmo gets another spot, puts a mark on that tyre going into turn 6. And I'm just trying to see what happened to Turmo. I think he's had a bad lap, or where that bad lap has occurred. And it was on lap 4. So, sorry, lap 4.
Noah Carroll's just gone straight on, braking while on the grass, and it's just pitched him off the road at high speed. Is he going to get that car back?
Oh, he's gone to the garage, so that's the end of
DNF.
the race for him. DNF and over and done. Now, I think there might be, I'm not sure if there's a timing glitch or something going on here. There's a few drivers have dropped down the field, so Snipes and Mitch were up in 5th and 6th, and here they go, it's just been reset now, so they were just very briefly showing in 12th and 13th. And they've now had that timing corrected. There is a move happening behind them. Steve Burko looks like he was trying to put a move on Brent Foley and couldn't quite get the job done at turn 7. And these guys are the last few cars in the 10th, so Burko is 10th, Foley 9th, and ahead of them Cheese in 8th, and Roger Mishra just clinging on to the coattails of Steve Burko. And Freakish, who was very briefly ahead of Brent Foley in the 10, has now just moved down the order of it to 12th through the early phase of this race. We get to, I guess, we're past the 1/4 distance. Half distance comes up at lap 21. And how are the tyres feeling, Hans? How do you think they're feeling now? You know, what decisions some of these guys made in race 1 to go for the two-stop strategy? Do you think they're going to try and change it up in race 2, or are they just going to be second verse, same as the first?
Well, if you're down the order, you might as well go two-stop strategy and hope for a safety car. Otherwise, just go for the one-stop strategy, because it seems to have shown itself to be semi-effective, and Devonish has gotten past Luke Rosella. So Luke Rosella gone for pole, back to third now. So not ideal for young Luke, but still a fair while in the race to go. 3/4 of the race remaining. And yeah, how are the tyres feeling? Probably as soft as licorice right now, and making a bit of a burning rubber smell as well.
Yeah, especially if you keep flat spotting it, just like the brief flat spot moment there for Will Devonish, and also I think for Tim Redmond behind as well. Now that Devonish is in the clear air, we can start to see how he hones in on the back step. He took 0.4 of a second out of him just in that second sector alone, which the second sector only runs from the exit of turn 5 through the bowl and then halfway up the straight or up the hill before you head down the hill. And there's an early stop here, so Lewis Wedding has decided to come in.
He's going to do the two-stop.
He's locked it up too. I'm wondering whether he got it stopped just in time before the line. He'll have flat spotted those front tyres pretty badly, I think. So he'll definitely be wanting a new set of those Dunlop super soft compound tyres, or soft compound tyres. Up he goes on the jacks, and he will be out and away. Meanwhile, the fight for the lead of the race is on.
Stenberg and Devonish side by side here, and they have come to blows at this circuit in the past. So here we go to the critical spot here, turn 7, where all the action has been in the last year or so. And he gets down the inside and makes the move. Excellent move there.
Oh, a little bit of Morse code there on the end as well from Stenberg, who just wanted to pick the throttle up and try and drive out of the corner and try and hang tough. And he's not making it easy. He's tougher than a $2 stake as Kurt Stenberg. And he definitely made that one difficult, but not overtly illegal for Will Devonish. It was completely legal in the end, the way he played that one, Stenberg. And Devonish, at the end of the day, is through.
If they keep battling, this is going to bring back Rosella and Redmond into the battle, and maybe even Snipes as well.
Yeah, those guys are, within a hair's breadth of, I think. Oh, there's been a major incident on the front straight for Nathan Higginson. He's just gone back to the garage. We are going to capture this on the replay, and I'm very surprised that didn't cause a safety car, but he's gone straight back to the garage. He was missing a bonnet already, so he'd had an off-track excursion somewhere, but I just saw it on the other screen. I don't know what on earth has gone on here. Coming through the final corner, big lock-up, and big swapper, and the other way, and oh, whack! That's not good.
So he's just been impaled, and yeah, the car is definitely a write-off there. So HME chassis, no more. And definitely going to the tip there.
Yeah, definitely, that will be a brand new build for that one, and 0 points from this round, most importantly for Nathan Higginson. Now, on the topic of that as well, the reason I saw that was because I was trying to see who came into the pits for a stop, and it was Lime Mitch. So he's going the two-stop strategy route as well, realising that the two-stop strategy can be faster if you've got the right strategy call. And he's actually timed that pretty well, because he was ahead of Lewis Wedding by the time that Wedding took his initial service, and he's actually increased that margin, Lime Mitch. So he's done a good job there to cover off Lewis Wedding going this two-stop route.
He's also found himself a clear air, so he might be gaining on the guys he's racing. So that might be able to put him up to maybe 6th or 5th by the end of this pit stop sequence.
Yeah, there's a few other drivers starting to go the two-stop route as well. His teammates also doing the same thing. Orjan Mishra, there's Orjan on the screen, so he's going to be passed quite comfortably by Mitch here, who's coming around the final corner. So AAR going on to a two-stop strategy here. Very, very interesting. 3 Mustangs out of the 7 that usually occupy the field going on to a two-stopper, where the one-stop can work, but you've got to be fast. That's the thing, Hunts. You have to be fast to make that strategy work.
Yeah, that's right. You've got to be able to make up for the extra 30 seconds or so you spend in the pits, plus the transit time. So obviously, Lime Mitch is going to go and just set some qualifying laps and just really drive the tyres as hard as they can go and try and make lap speed when the sun shines, I guess. But obviously, some other cars going with the babying it around strategy. But when it gets to the end of the race, and if they're evenly matched, you will have more in the tank for the tyre life. So you will be able to make a pass, because if your tyres are absolutely gone to the red and they can't take any more, it's going to be very hard to pass others.
It certainly is. Sadly, if you're a Kiwi fan, we have lost the one shining light that was in race 1, which was Cheese. He's unfortunately out of this one. And just looking at the list, it looks like that's a mechanical drama of some nature. Looks like he's hit a wall or something somewhere. So that's the reason for him being out of this one. So the lead men at the moment for the Kiwis is Tim Redmond in 4th and NZ Snipes in 5th, Freakish in 8th, and then the next one is this man, Braxton Stancliffe, who's having a good old battle here with Taipan, and Cam Rutledge tucked in there as well, and Peter Thrower. So it's a Kiwi sandwich at the minute. 2 Kiwis on the ends of the train and 2 drivers in the middle.
Taipan, not a Kiwi, he's actually a New South Welshman, but almost an honorary Kiwi, it seems. He hangs around with them that much, so yeah, pretty funny in that sense.
I think I called the Kiwis to the Discord channel, I think a little while ago, when we were getting ready to promote or offer the seats rather for main game to Cheese and Freakish, and I said, could I have all the Kiwis into the Discord channel, please? And he showed up. So I think you're right about the honorary Kiwi statement. He's definitely part of that little group, and no, he's a good guy type, man. I actually get along quite well with him, and he's a big favourite with a number of the guys in the group, and he's actually lining up a good pass here on Braxton Stancliffe. Had good drive out of the bowl, and a little bit of side-to-side contact there, but at the end of the day, he is through in the Mark Winterbottom car into position 10 for the moment, as the pit stops are starting to shake out. So more 2 stoppers have come in. So Ben Hall's been in, Steve Warwick has been in, so too is Orchard Mishra, Lewis Wedding, Lime Mitch, Termo. All those guys have been in, and they will have to then play that 2-stop strategy out over the next 15 laps or so. Speaking of Lime Mitch, who was the first of those men in the queue, he's got some lap traffic with Rhodey to deal with here, which he negotiates at turn number 4. And where's the battle pack? So the battle pack that we were just alluding to is just in front of him. So we go on board with Lime Mitch from the bonnet cam. There you can see is Ben Hall, who's a lap down, and then ahead of them is that battle pack that we were just following a few seconds ago. So that's the pack with Braxton Stancliffe, Peter Thrower, and Cam Rutledge, who's just making the move there on Braxton at turn 7. So 2-stop strategy is catching him back up to some of the guys that are on the 1-stop strategy. So it's not a bad result for Mitch at the moment. This will probably net him possibly a back-end of top 10 finish if he keeps going at this pace.
The main thing for Mitch, though, is that he needs to negotiate this battle quite quickly, or else he's going to be losing time. The guy he's it's the guys he's racing. Oh, there's a car off the road there.
Yep, it's Braxton Stancliffe. Braxton Stancliffe has gone off, and he's just having to grab reverse here. So he's gone off the road, I think, of his own doing. And we will have a little bit of a look at this one on the Smith & Sons replay as he rejoins rather safely. Now he was locked in combat with Cam Rutledge. Here we go on the run up to turn thing, and yeah, he lost it on the curb. So he just caught a little bit of the curb on the inside at turn 2, and he's gone off the road there and has hit that wall that's been put into place. So unforced error, and that's a shame because he was driving quite well there and boxing on quite fairly, and he's going to take the bait here and use that as an excuse to come in and get his pit stop over and done with. Just 1 lap short of the half distance marker, so with a bit of luck he should be able to make it home from here. Oh, and here come the race leaders too, right behind him.
I guess he won't go a lap down then. They're side by side actually, so that's pretty naughty.
Now Stenberg had passed Will Devonish back at some point as well in that little run too, so these guys, this is going to be an arms race, a pit stop arms race here between these guys, so let's keep an eye on things. Pretty much stop, bang, Stenny up first, not by very much, and you would think that the status quo is going to be maintained. Bretton Foley's in as well. Stancliffe is leaving, and he's in the fast lane now. And Devonish out first. Devonish has jumped Stenberg.
So Stenberg perhaps overfilled, or maybe Devonish short-filled, but nonetheless he's in the lead. And, that will net him the lead of the race if he can keep this going.
And that's important
too. A fair bit of traffic as well, so Stenberg is in traffic.
And on top of that, so he's got the guys that are on the two-stop strategy behind him, Wedding and Lime Mitch. Now this is very important for Stenberg that he's cleared these two guys and he stays ahead of them. He's got Rhodey ahead, and the next car ahead of him was Ben Hall, who got out of the way. So importantly for Will Devonish, he has cleared Rhodey and now clears Braxton Stancliffe at the fast part of the circuit, so that's good. So the next question is, strategy master stroke or strategy miscue?
I guess time will tell, actually, because it depends what his fuel economy is like, really. But, I mean, these things can go any number of ways. There are a number of random variables in Automobilista. So, obviously, if you pit and you do everything perfectly, there still could be maybe a half-second variation in the pit stop time, and that would have given you a result like that.
Yeah, out in front, there's been a little bit of change as well. So, with Will Devonish currently in the net lead of the race, Lime Mitch, who's on the two-stop strategy, has found his way to the head of the train, ahead of team principal of AAR, Luke Rosella. And Rosella's getting a nice little tow here now. Rosella, has he stopped yet? That's the next question I need to answer. I don't believe that he has. Actually, yes, he has. He has stopped. So
there you go.
There we go. So somewhere along the line, I do apologise here, folks. Luke Rosella has gotten past and now has the effective race lead. So somewhere along the line, Rosella has gotten past both Stenberg and Will Devonish and has marched away and has a nice healthy advantage right now. So it's Rosella in a net first, Will Devonish is a net second because Lime Mitch is on the two-stop strategy, and Kurt Stenberg a net third. So this is a bit strange. We didn't expect this to happen.
I've got no idea where this came out of, but we'll wash it all up in the debrief afterwards if Luke can get on the podium, because it'll be quite interesting to find out. And it's good that he's got Mitch up there to be a rear gunner action.
Just going to go and have a look at the pit stop times actually to see if we can work this out. So Rosella actually came in at the end of lap 20. His in lap at a 121 and his out lap at a 101.5. And then you go to Will Devonish, who came in on lap 21. He was a 109 in lap and a 116 out. And then Kurt Stenberg was much the same, a 108 in and a 119 out. So Rosella getting in a lap earlier than Stenberg and Devonish has paid dividends. So he's actually gone and effectively, he's done an undercut, but I wouldn't put it past him that the likes of Devonish and Stenberg maybe have made a mistake somewhere on one of their laps, and that's what's given the advantage to Luke Rosella. There is a 56 second lap in there for Will Devonish. I'd imagine the same for Kurt Stenberg as well, just before the stops took place. So it may not all be down to just the overcut or the undercut. It may be down to a couple of driving errors as well.
Maybe all of Luke Rosella's Christmases came at once, with his two main rivals coming together. Here we go. We've got team principal Luke Rosella driving for SSR and satellite team AAR, with Lime Mitch at the wheel. And a welcome return to form for Lime Mitch. He's been putting in some good performances tonight. And let's see if he can hold off Luke's main competition in this race.
Well, at the moment the margin is shrinking, Hans. I'm just keeping an eye on it here. Rosella's got 0.6 of a second to Lime Mitch, but Will Devonish is closing in, just taking a 10th here and a 10th there at the moment. Stenberg not making huge impressions at the moment. Wait to see the lap times as they get across the line. So Rosella across in a 55.444, and behind him Will Devonish to 54.7. So he actually gained some time that last time around, and Stenberg at a 54.8. So it's not ascendancy or advantage to Luke Rosella at the moment. Hunt's the big loser in all of this at the moment through the sequence stops is Tim Redmond. He's lost a lot of time to the guys in first, second and third at the moment.
Yeah, spot on. He's gone backwards from about 4th to 7th, or rather 6th now, because I think Lewis Wedding just went off the road.
Yeah, having a little bit of a look to see what happened to it to Lewis Wedding. I think he's he has had a moment somewhere here. I think just up and over the he ran wide at turn 4 and gave the AdWards a little bit of a touch up. So another position for Redmond, and he's now just gotten past Ujit Mishra as well, so that puts him in. And there goes Lewis Wedding in the background. So Wedding in for his second stop, and he's out of control. Oh, and that's going to be pit lane speeding. Almost guaranteed that's going to be pit lane speeding.
Well, if he stays stopped in the pit lane for long enough, he won't get the drive-through penalty. But yeah, right out sideways for Lewis Wedding.
Yep.
And probably will be bleating expletives on the radio, I can only imagine.
Yep, right out sideways indeed. Time for a Smith & Sons renovations and extensions replay. Here it is again, and just overcommitted. Way big slide.
He managed to catch it though. That was a pretty good catch.
That was a very good save at the end of the day, but I worry that we are about to see a time penalty come up, and right on cue as he exits the pits. There it is. Race control issues a penalty to Lewis Wedding for pit lane speeding. So it looked pretty bad on the way in. Super committed. Two-stop strategy seemed like it was going to pay off for him, but the drive-through has disagreed with him on that occasion.
Paid to his efforts tonight, even with the two-stop strategy. So either way, bleating expletives due to a simple mistake on the entry to pit lane. Meanwhile, Luke Rosella being harassed by Will Devonish here, and Devonish has already caught up to the back of him. So for whatever reason, Luke's made a mistake and he's fallen back into the clutches of Devonish.
Now on top of that, to compound the matters even further, it was Lyle Mitch who's come in and taken his second stop. So Lyle Mitch has completed the two-stop strategy. He's actually just come out of pit lane ahead of Freakish. So that's in 8th place, ahead of Freakish in 9th. Darren Kemp now the last man inside the top 10. There's still a few drivers that are on that two-stop strategy yet to fully complete their two-stop strategy. Ujit Mishra is the next one that we need to look towards, and he's coming in now. So that cleanses, I think, essentially cleanses the top 10. As the next man is Brenton Foley. So through goes Foley into what is now 5th place. And then your NZ Snipes in 6th will be taking the next spot over. Lyle Mitchell then, with a bit of luck, move up to 7th. And then we'll see how the rest of it all plays out. Go back to the battle for the lead, and Rosella looking to go back-to-back and 2 from 2 and keep the championship lead his at the end of tonight's proceedings.
So 12 laps to go in this race, and still anything can happen, because we've got Stenberg maintaining a watching brief, and Devonish with a whole head of steam. He's trying to make a few moves on Rosella, but Rosella just closes the door at the critical moment. And up to turn 4 now. Watch the difference in the lines through here. On board with Will Devonish for CRE on board.
And again,
you can just watch the strengths and weaknesses of each cars there. And look, he's just trying to show the nose ever so slightly. But Luke seems to be on the braking limit there, so I don't think he'll be able to make a move under brakes. The drive out of the cold corner is a lot better for Devonish. He gets forced to go to the outside, so can he hang tough?
There's a wrap around here. So there's a yellow flag in the area as well, and that's because there's a car off the road on the inside of the circuit, so he had to pull back into line there. He had no choice. Who was the car that was off the road? It might have been the Braxton Stancliffe car, I think. He's just wrapped into the pits, and and yes, it was.
Sitting pit lane, and Rhodey stays out of the way. So good job there, Rhodey. And these two boxing on.
And they continue the fight up to turn 5. And smart decision by Will at the end of the day. He had to pull out of that move, otherwise he would have been done by the stewards post-race for passing under yellows. But can he make the move again? Here's the best opportunity. It looks like 7 is the strong spot for him, but had a bit of an awkward run there through turn 6. May not be in position this time to have a lunge.
He's got nowhere near enough overlap there, but he sends it from a fairway back, and oh, gee, I held my breath there because it looked like he could have been going spearing into the back of Rosella, but look who is catching ever so slightly. It's Stenberg. He's managed to find some pace in the last couple of laps.
Yep, called it perfectly, Hans. You read my mind absolutely perfectly. Like a shark in the water that smells blood, he is hunting down the red and white Commodore of Will Devonish and the teal and grey Mustang of Luke Rosella pretty quickly at the moment as they continue to trip over each other. I must say, Rosella is doing a really good job defensively at the moment to make this work and try and hold up Devonish for as long as possible. But I fear that Stenberg, when he gets to the rear of these two, will pick them off one at a time very quickly. Will knows he needs to go, and he tries to move here, down at 7. Just escorts Luke Rosella a little bit wide, but that's okay. And he now has the high ground for turn 1. He realises he has to go. He cannot risk being caught by Stenberg being behind another car, and he's through at turn 1. So at the end of the day, it took a couple of laps and a couple of half-hearted lunges, but through to position 1 goes the driver of car 15.
I don't think those half-hearted manoeuvres actually help, because that's what brought Stenberg back into the picture. I think he should have waited a little bit longer to set up the move, but it seems to have worked for him now. But at what cost? Because now it's brought Stenberg back into this battle.
Also just seeing that Lime Mitch has been in and served his drive-through penalty, and he's actually lost quite a few spots now after all of that one. He's actually lost, it's cost him 7th place to Freakish, who's on for not only his best result in the series so far, but probably one of the best performances I think we've seen him drive across both the main game and Super 2 series so far in car 131. And it's also put his teammate for Lime Mitch, that is, Orjit Mishra, up to P8. So the drive-through penalty has cost Lime Mitch a lot. It's also cost him a position to Steve Burko, who's now 9th, and Darren Kemp, who's now in the top 10. So very, very costly drive-through for the driver of car 13. There he is on the screen right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, the two-step strategy once again paid by a drive-through penalty at the critical moment in pit lane speeding, and pit lane once again comes to the fore as another issue. And there's only 2 real places that you could speed in pit lane. That's on the entry or on the exit. So not sure where Lime Mitch has made that mistake, but he will definitely pay for it now, because he is a fair way back from where he was fighting for position firmly in the top 10.
The only other possibility too, Hans, is that he's been done for a track infringement somewhere as well. We talked earlier about the limits on the outside of turn 5. There are a couple of other spots as well where if you take liberties a bit too much, you can be stung, and it's a possibility that may have come up as well. But what is a possibility right now is a pass down at turn 7, and Mitch is firmly up the inside of Darren Kemp, who just eases the car over a touch just to squeeze the margin up. But Mitch, ever present, is through very, very quickly and presses on towards turn 1. Has to turn it in a little bit early though, just to cover off the Mustang and Kemp, who's very, very racy, and in the end hangs on to what is now P10.
Kemp's doing a fantastic job once again.
And a change for P2. Sorry, Hans, a change for P2 at turn 1. So Stenberg through on Luke Rosella.
Stenberg always ever present, lurking, and once again, it's like a shark in the water. He's just showing the fin, and like he said in the post-race interview after race 1 tonight, that it is a warning signal to his competitors and to his rivals.
Lewis Wedding, another drive-through, so I'm not sure if he's been through the lane again or if he's been done for a track infringement. No, he's out on track, so he's picked up a couple of track cuts. On track, he's behind Tim Redmond, but of course he is a lap down on the field. So he'll come to the lane for his second drive-through of the night, and a bit of lap traffic here as well that the race leaders are having to negotiate in the form of Taipan. And through they go. Just keeping tabs on Tim Redmond here as well, just to see what his lap pace is relative to the front runners, and he's lapping on the same pace as Rosella's, which is 55.6, so not making any real inroads into the top 3, so 4th will be the best finish for him as it stands right now. Stenberg and Devenish last time around both a 55.19. The last digit on the lap time was the only difference, a 9.0 for Devenish, a 9.4 for Stenberg, so 4 1,000ths of a second, which is basically 2 millimetres. And they're going to press on for 4 more laps. So Stenberg sounded the warning signal in the post-race interview from race 1. He's got 4 laps to make that warning signal a reality.
So his pace has come on strong at the right point of the race, and Stenberg will go on board with him now. And you can see vulnerabilities of car 15 right ahead of him, and he will be lurking as much as he can and showing the nose where possible. Try and make an unforced error, try and force an error with Devenish. And look how close he gets under brakes, and notice that he's being off the corner, trying to keep the load off the tyres like you said, Stephen. And yeah, Stenberg, he's got a good balance on board right now, and just shows that he's able to tune the car up and make it work towards the back end of the race.
He's got a little bit of lost a little bit of distance to the rear bumper of Will Devenish out of turn 6, so he has to do all that work over again. Urjit Mishra just slipped past Freakish as well at turn 1 for position 7, so demotes Freakish back to position 8, but still a good result. There is a yellow flag in this sector, so I'm wondering if we've got another car off. The leaders coming through. Where's the yellow flag for at the moment? Looks like that car is cleared it. Actually, no, it's not. It's Braxton Stancliffe again. So he was off the road on the other side and has rejoined. So a bit of luck. Hopefully the passes took place before that yellow flag came out. Otherwise, there's going to be a little bit of a drama come the end of this race for passing under yellows. But 2 laps to go, and look at this, Hans. We've got lap traffic as well. So this is going to be a bit of a challenge. You've got Cam Rutledge, you've got Darren Kemp, and I think Cam will probably make it pretty easy for Will, but it may not make it easy for Steph.
Here we go.
Just sends it, has to withdraw very, very late in the piece. It's now or never. These are the 2 laps that are critical. The tyres are going to be screaming. They are going to be red on the indicators at the moment. How much life do they have left? They both came in on the same lap at 20 to 21. So they're going to be right on the threshold of what is possible. Looks like it's a 2-horse race for the win. Rosella's dropping back. Cam Rutledge gets out of the way, lets the traffic through. I'd imagine Darren Kemp will do the same out of turn 6, and he does. He moves over to the right. Gives Will Devenish a chance to have a little bit of a tow here, but Kemp needs to withdraw, and he does do a really good job, but he's just balked Stenberg at a critical moment. That might be costly. A little bit of a late withdrawal, and Stenny had to go right around the outside there. And has that done enough for Will Devenish to hang on to this win? It doesn't look like it just yet, but maybe, just maybe, that little awkward moment might have been enough.
That was at the critical moment there for Stenberg when he was about to pick his braking marker and turn in. But Stenberg is, oh, look at that. He's using all the road and then some.
Oh, and he was he was on the grass too. He's right out in the grass and lucky not to loop that car. That brings Rosella back into pay.
Right there, Steve. That's probably the race. It's done.
That's it. It will be the race. So it'll be a win to Will Devenish if he keeps going the way that it is. The interesting bit will be whether or not Luke Rosella can make a last-minute lunge down at the final corner. Rosella's thinking about it, back a shot, but not quite close enough to do it. Or is he? There's a move going on here. He's fired up the inside as Rosella, and Devenish will get the race win, but the drag race is on for 2nd and 3rd, and it will go to Stenberg by about a quarter of a car length. So hard charging run in the end from Rosella. He was gone. He was resigned to 3rd, and then got very re-energized in the last half of a lap with Stenberg's mistake. So the podium sitters, Will Devonish the win, Kurt Stenberg second, and Luke Rosella third. Redmond with the drive to fourth. So again, another fourth place. This one he'll definitely keep because he hasn't had the tangle with Will Devonish. Brent Foley, another good strong result. So podium finish in race 1 for Foley, a 5th place finish in race 2. So that's probably one of the best nights I think that he's had in quite some time, and a good fistful of points to boot. NZ Snipes, so he's doing a bit of lawn mowing, but that's a good result for him as well. I think that's his best main game result as well, 6th place finish. Steve Burko takes car 7 to position 7. Lai Mitch in 8th, Urgent Mishra in 9th, so both the AAR cars getting home inside the top 10. And Freakish, well done Freakish, makes up for the loss of cheese earlier in the race and gets home for 10th place. So good job by Freakish. And Darren Kemp, a pair of 11 places on the night as well, so he can hold his head high. He's done really well. A lot of the Super 2 guys have done a really good job tonight.
Yeah, spot on. And the race at the front of the field was fantastic also. Good to see Will get a race victory. He did do it tough. And also Stenberg with the hard charging effort towards the end. Unfortunately, a few critical mistakes and lap traffic getting in the way for Stenberg. But still, nonetheless, a very excellent result for the top 3 guys. And Luke Rosella probably resigned to 3rd, like you said. But when Stenberg made that mistake, obviously the opportunity was knocking and decided to have a go. So good racing from the top 3 guys. And Barbagallo once again has turned on some great racing tonight.
It definitely has. And again, the moniker we said at the beginning of the night, that the bogey track for Kurt Stenberg, it still continues to be the bogey track, doesn't it?
In terms of race wins, yeah, sure. But his pace was very, very good tonight. And I definitely thought that he could have got a race win. But for whatever reason, at those critical moments, just the things weren't exactly going his way. And there was the rear of grid penalty in race 1. There was the obviously the incident in race 1 as well, but also losing time to Devonish on the pit stop and not being able to get out on time to be able to jump him. I think that cruelled his run a little bit as well. But then just trying too hard, probably made a couple of mistakes coming up through turns 4 and 5 and just threw it off the road. So still a very, very good effort from Stenberg, because he definitely had the pace and his car was more balanced towards the end of the race compared to Devonish and Rosella. So still a pretty solid result from the top 3 guys.
Yeah, you're not wrong. He definitely looked like he had the pace to run it tonight. Just the couple of little factors that are probably out of his control at certain times, and just upset the run, and unfortunately missing out on the race wins tonight. We'll get to him in just a second, but we'll go to the man who finished in 3rd place. He was the winner in race 1, and he was 3rd in the second race tonight in Luke Rosella. Luke, you got a little bit re-energised toward the end there, just on that last lap when Stenny made a mistake or two, and maybe thought that second place might have been on, but not quite close enough.
Yeah, thanks, Stella. That's the absolute best we could have done, really. Like I said in the first interview, we're probably going to be a little bit on the back foot because Kurt really showed his pace with the 2-stop, and as we saw in this race, Devonish was just a better sort of car on the tyres. So that's the absolute best. I got a bit close to Kurt. I sort of knew, because I think Scott Nolan, he wasn't racing, but he was keeping an eye on Kurt's stream, and we sort of knew his tyres were going to fall off the cliff on the last lap. So we just tried to stay as close as to Kurt as possible, and we had a bit of a dip on the last corner there, but nah. Good job to Will and Kurt. They sort of made the tyre last a little bit more than me. I had to pit earlier in the first stint, but I'm pretty happy with 3rd place.
Yeah, I think you'd be pretty happy with 2 podium finishes, and one of those being a win tonight. Good haul of points for the championship as well. And then we're going to have to do the math to work it out now, but you're probably going to be pretty close to level pegging with Kurt heading into Hidden Valley in 3 weeks' time. Hidden Valley, a circuit that Kurt knows very, very well, because he was the original author of the track for it many, many years ago. But I'm looking forward to Hidden Valley. What comes to mind for you?
You're right. This round, it would have been the round I would have liked to get a little bit more off Kurt, because it's one of his bogey tracks. But he's going to be strong for probably the rest of the season. To be honest, I'm pretty good at Calder, but yeah, we're just going to give it our all as always, Nether, and yeah, see what we can do.
Well, 3 more weeks until we get to Hidden Valley. You take probably the better haul of points out of tonight, and of course your first win on the season and the first win for Ford. So nothing all to be frowned upon. Good result overall, good racing overall, and well done.
Thanks, Nether.
Hans, over to the man that we were talking about just before the podium interviews in second place finisher, second place finish for the night, Kurt Stenberg.
Second place finish for the night, as Steve said. But Stenny, for a bogey track, finishing second twice isn't that bad, is it?
It's not, but I'm disappointed. We wanted to break the hoodoo tonight. I've never won a race at Barbagallo in AMS, so I wanted to tick that box. And once again, we've failed at ticking the box because we didn't tick the boxes that we needed to tick to win the race.
So during the pit stop, obviously you come in front of Devonish and you come out behind him. Were you overfilling the car? Did Will underfill the car? What do you think, in your opinion, was the reason that you fell behind there?
I overfilled the car. I put too much fuel in. I made an error in calculations because obviously in the first race I did a 2-stop and I underfilled the car in both those stops. So hadn't worked out the proper fuel calcs and put too much fuel in, and basically I feel like that's where I lost the race because I deliberately drove on the second stint. I deliberately drove more cautiously. I saw Will running up the road, and I was trying to look after me tyres. And then when I saw that Will got past Luke, that's when I put the hammer down and went, I'm going to use up the rest of this rubber to get there to do what I can do. And I overexcited the tyres, which you can't do when they're that worn, and that's what cost me on the last lap there. You can't get the car sideways when it's got no rubber left on the tyre because it just overheats and you're left hanging onto it.
But still, pretty good performance. I did notice that your car was, towards the end of the race, was a bit more balanced. But like you said, when you did obviously gas it up a bit too much, the thing would go sideways and the tyres would protest a little bit too much. But going forward, a pretty solid points haul. And in 3 weeks' time, we go to Hidden Valley, another one of your tracks that you're pretty good at.
Yeah, I love Hidden Valley, and it'll be interesting. We'll probably go back to what we've normally been doing. I've been running a bit of a different setup philosophy for this league to look after the tyres that I've run the last 3 rounds, but I made a bit of a change this round towards a more traditional thing I'd run, and was fast but didn't quite have the tyre life. But we'll see what we do at Hidden Valley because I've had pretty good runs there in the past, and I've been able to get tyres to last there as well. So should be less hard on tyres, should be more of an outright pace battle. So we'll have a good one at that because been quite successful there in the past. So looking forward to it.
Well, nonetheless, you didn't break the hoodoo, but still, a couple of second place finishes, a solid points haul, and good for the championship. Kurt, well done.
Thanks, Hans. See you at the Valley.
And Steve, you're down there with Will Devonish, race winner of race 2 tonight.
Absolutely. Will Devonish, a very, very important race win to get your championship at least somewhat back on track after the disaster that was race 1.
Yeah, and it was I guess it's a bit of a confidence boost. I knew we had it in race 1, but then damage and the drive-through just put paid to that. So yeah, it was really good to come back race 2 and nail the win.
It looked like overall you had a package that was going to compete for the top 3 all night long. What was probably the strong point? Was it running in clear air was where it was good for you, or were did you have a part of the circuit that was stronger where you felt that you could gain all that time? Where did you focus your efforts tonight? Because I know you've been doing a lot of laps in preparation for the night, and as well as bringing the other CRE guys along with you. But where was the time gain? Where was that little bit of the edge that just carried you enough tonight to keep you at the pointy end of the field in that second race?
Well, Cam and I, as you said, Cam and I have been doing a lot of practice, and evidently really paid off for Cam. I think he's got a 8th and 11th, so best round to him. So I'm really proud of him this round. But we learnt early this week that the base setup was never going to get the tyres to last the 21 laps needed. And ideally, I wanted to get to lap 22, so we'd have an easy last stint. And didn't matter really what we did with the setup changes. We couldn't really get anything out of the front tires. We could out of the rears, but not the front. So it ended up being a sort of a driver change, a line change, and I guess it paid off. It was into the bowl. Cutting the bowl tight really helped for tires, and it also meant we got great run outs of that. So I think every overtake we had was down the last turn tonight, which it was really good.
Yeah, it certainly looked that way from when we were watching the broadcast. Turns 6 and 7 seemed to be the favoured passing zones, and I guess you're right. If you carry the momentum through turn 6, you've then got a couple more kilometres straight line speed up and over the hill, gives you the run that you need to make the pass and make it stick down at turn 7. And then you've obviously got that bit of run-off road that you can, let the guys run over the outside of the turn and give them space, so the pass is all fair and above board. So I guess it's a learning experience. You put it down to you do the laps, you do the education, and you learn from it. And I guess the best thing that you took out of tonight was you got a race win. It's your second win of the season. You're still mathematically well and truly in the hunt, and we've just ticked over the halfway point of the championship. Still a long way to go, but well done on the win, and look forward to Hidden Valley. You had pace there last year, ultimately didn't get the results you wanted, but hopefully it looks favourably upon you in 3 weeks.
Thank you. We'll see how we go.
Well, there's your podium sitters for race number 2. Will Devonish first place, Kurt Stenberg in second, and Luke Rosella in third. Hans, well, I think we said at the beginning of the night, some of these sessions we were going to see were probably going to be some of the best sessions of the year. The qualifying sessions definitely lived up to it. Some of the racing definitely lived up to it as well.
Yeah, spot on. And obviously, we couldn't really pick a winner in both of these races. We knew that there were probably 5 or 6 cars that could win the race. And it could have been any one of them, honestly, because they were so close together in the first opening stanza of the race that it was just really unbelievable. And I think it just shows the quality of the field right now at this point in time that we are able to get 5 or 6 cars, and we honestly, I mean, you couldn't pick a winner. I wanted to pick one just to be contrarian, and I still couldn't pick one. So but obviously our winners tonight, Will Devonish and Luke Rosella, they were there or thereabouts, and I think it was pretty good racing to watch, and also good to see some of the other guys put on a good showing as well, such as Cheese and NZ Snipes and those kind of characters getting up there in the top 10. They did a very good job.
Yeah, they certainly did. The Kiwis are starting to come on strong, and they've definitely shown that some of the short tracks like this, they have definitely got some pace. We'll see what they can do in 3 weeks' time at Hidden Valley. But in between now and then on this channel, you will see the 90 minutes of Interlagos, which is the 4th round of ASR's GT3 World Championship from the Brazilian Grand Prix circuit. And that's shaping up to be one of the closest series as well this year, along with the Supercars Championship. Supercars returns on this channel on Friday, the 2nd of July for the 6th round of the championship. And then after that, retro round in 3 weeks' time after that. So thanks to Hans. Thanks to all of you for watching. And please drive safely. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.